The musical equation of the universe says that for every type of music, there are groups of people who are offended by it. Shock rock pushes that to a new level by combining rock and roll with theatrical live performances that include costumes and special effects and provocative behavior that pulls from circus sideshows, science fiction, horror, and religion. On today's episode of Prisoners of Rock and Roll, we're going to look at the famous shock rockers like Kiss, Gwar, Alice Cooper, Marilyn Manson, and Rob Zombie, as well as a handful of other artists. We're going to talk about the beginning of shock rock in the 1950s and discuss if we are so desensitized by the internet that we just can't be shocked by music anymore. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Let's hit it. Yeah! What's up, everybody? Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll. I am Bruce Kramer, and I'm joined by my spooky, horrifying co-hosts, Doug McCusker and Ryan McCusker.
Wow. Are you rocking out there?
Doug, the eye makeup, the Alice Cooper eye makeup you're wearing is amazing tonight.
I was trying to do like between Gene Simmons, King Diamond, and Alice Cooper.
Looks awesome. Our show is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia, and we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network. So I feel like this is going to be a deep episode that we're going to get into like the meaning of music and the motivation of artists, which is just awesome.
A lot of this music is like murder. I think we got to put down the tarp. So like all the blood's going to be splattered all over the bar, you know.
Man, this is a lot of music that I don't listen to regularly. But when I was driving down here, I'm like, man, I was telling my wife when I was getting dressed, I'm like, I am so excited to do this tonight. I really, really, really enjoy doing this research.
Did you stop and burn some churches down before your way over?
I did. I actually, I tied a Prisoners of Rock and Roll. I put a Prisoners of Rock and Roll sticker on a brick and I threw it through the shirt. So, yeah, man, we're going to talk about some of the music and be like, why do these bands do this? I mean, we put together an outline for the show. And I think we wound up with like 15 bands that we're going to touch on, and then a handful of other kind of stuff. Man, this is like all over the place.
This is like one of the first episodes where I didn't actually like really listen to a lot of these artists' songs, but I did a whole bunch of visual stuff, like a lot of YouTube and a lot of videos of watching these guys perform live, and it was interesting. So,
and there was some stuff that I didn't know. That, you know, we put together a playlist before we do the show, and we share it, and we check out all the music, and Ryan shared a couple bands I didn't know a lot about, and I listened to on Spotify, and I was like, I have to go watch it on YouTube because I need the visual of it.
Sure.
So,
and that's like shock rock. It's more of a visual thing than a music thing, I think.
That's the thing about shock rock. You definitely need the visual. Like maybe like back in the day, it was like album covers that gave you the visual. Like not for nothing, the album cover of Paranoid scares the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why. It's just so creepy. It's just that double take of a person's like photography, trick photography thing.
Like a triple exposure.
Yeah. It scares the shit out of me.
And I guess before we start, we should define the playing field that we're going to work on, because it's like we were talking as we were setting up all of our gear, like what is shock rock? I mean, if it's something that shocks people, you're all over the place, because music has really been pissing people off. I said this when I threw WAP in the electric chair last episode. I mean, music has been pissing people off from the beginning, right? It was like, Elvis went on TV and shook his hips and people went nuts.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess we should define, I mean, if you said, what is the sound of shock rock? There really isn't like a unifying, I guess it kind of plays in the metal punk place, but there's really not like a defined sound to it.
No, but doing all this research, we see how far shock rock, if you can call it shock rock, there was definitely shock music.
Yeah.
You know,
it's almost like when the Supreme Court said the definition of pornography is like, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's certain bands that like, okay, cool. Because some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, it's all over the place, the music styling, but we classified it as shock rock.
Do you guys think like the main ingredient in this type of music or whatever is considered shock rock is offensive? Like it has to be offensive, or do you think that's just the artists? Because a lot of these things, like a lot of these bands,
some are smarter than the others.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I just, some are smarter than others. Their gimmicks are better than the other gimmicks.
And that's what I think it comes down to. It's just gimmicks.
Yeah, gimmicks are a good point. And I think we're we're going to find that there are some artists that do this to try to get you to think. There's others that do it as like satire, and then there's others that they just do it to try to be offensive. Because at some point, like I saw something, here it's like, shock rock takes the concept of rock and roll and it throws it right back in the face of the people who were offended, and it draws attention to itself because the shock value generates publicity, and it's way cheaper to have somebody in the newspaper write an article about you, how offensive you are, than it is to have a publicist go out.
It's free advertising. Yeah.
Right. And now that I think about it, I was like, a friend of mine from college is Alice Cooper's publicist. And I'm like,
wow.
what does he need a publicist for?
I would love to meet I would love to meet Alice Cooper.
Yeah. And we'll get into him.
But that's what they say. There's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah. Right. And I guess this kind of embraces it.
Yeah, especially in shock rock.
It gets people intrigued. Like, let's go see this. What's this all about?
As I was putting our notes together, I was thinking about like rock and roll has always had a visual element to it because it started at the same time as television, right? You had Elvis coming out on Ed Sullivan. Even when you say you go to a concert, you don't say, I'm going to listen to a show. You say, I'm going to see a show, right? Yeah. There's always a visual. Like you want to see the artist.
Yeah.
So these guys take it to another level, and it really does. I don't know. I watched one documentary on YouTube about it, and they were interviewing like a guy from Coney Island. And he was like, he was like a circus sideshow guy. And he's like, this is where shock rock started, man. It took that kind of. I
absolutely agree with that. Yeah, totally.
It was like really cool. It took it from like that P.T. Barnum freak show and put some music behind it. And I was like, all right, man, that's pretty banging. I dig it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember the first Lollapalooza tour. They had the sideshow characters on the tour with them.
That's a great point. I totally forgot about that. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing them like nail go right through a nose or something like that.
Sword swallower and a fire.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just made a real quick list of just like artists who aren't shock rock, but people have been shocked by physical things that they've done. So Elvis swinging his hips,
right on.
Jerry Lee Lewis lighting his piano on fire. Little Richard wearing makeup.
Sure.
The Who smashing their instruments. Hendrix lighting his guitar on fire. Jim Morrison getting arrested for whipping out his pecker. And like Iggy Pop being a madman on stage, right? Like, there's always like, and every one of those things, everybody knows them. And these artists are infamous for it.
The shocking, Little Richard, just his screeching of his voice is shocking. He's wearing makeup.
Yeah.
He acts like a woman. It's very shocking. Here's a Southern guy, just saying "shut up."
Yeah, but at the same time, like a lot of people consider him the granddaddy of rock and roll.
Is.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a shame that he got tossed aside and made Elvis was the king of rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, and Little Richard will tell you he's the king.
You wrote Tutti Frutti, and Elvis said he's like, I got paid every time that song played. A
wop babaloo a wop bam
boom. And Chuck Berry will tell you how important they were.
I think Chuck Berry more than Little Richard, but definitely.
But I think as the band started, like the Who and these guys doing this, and then you started getting into people that were pushing like the gender barrier. I feel like that was like the beginning of shock rock. Like you had some. The New York Dolls and Bowie and people kind of pushing the envelope with that stuff too.
Hey, you're definitely going to shock people when you're a male and wearing women's underwear.
Yeah, in the 70s, definitely.
I put down in my notes that like this music just scares the old to entertain the young.
Okay, and I think it's like the young get entertained by how scared the old people get, or people our age, or whatever.
Yeah, it's absolutely part of it.
I remember being a kid and thinking, I'm like, oh, I love this because it scares people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always like because it's like push the envelope.
Yeah,
I dig that.
Yeah, I do too. And at some point, all of this kind of spills over into punk music because, we talked about in our punk episode. Punk has that in-your-face attitude and the way everybody dressed and the music is hardcore. And,
what's more shocking than, Johnny Rotten, singing with his teeth all fucked up?
Right.
What's more shocking than that?
Right. And I didn't put the Sex Pistols in here, but when I was doing my research and you're Googling, shock bands,
And they
came up.
Yeah,
sure they
they're
were.
so
I agree with that.
shocking.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
there's a shit ton of punk bands. And I know we're going to talk about a couple of them in here because they absolutely deserve to be part of this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, like you said, you like pushing the envelope because if we're gonna talk about this as like in a somewhat of a general timeline, the stuff that starts early starts getting campy or late. You know, the line gets further and further.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beginning was meant to be spooky, like Halloween time, like, you know, not scary but spooky.
Yeah, and then by the end, it's like, where do you go now in 2020 where you can pull out your cell phone and watch videos of any horrifying,
Yeah.
you know.
But if you notice, like a lot of these bands start touring right around the September when Halloween is going to
Starts.
come around, like, you know.
No, totally. Manson's on tour.
I saw
Gwar's on tour.
I saw Gwar during Halloween. I saw Manson during Halloween. Like, you know, I'm sure Rob Zombie goes out for a tour around that time.
It's
you
like
know.
Siberia Orchestra.
Exactly.
Right.
For
Christmas
Halloween.
time.
Yeah,
I
it's
was thinking
like
that,
a run. You know?
I remember one of my buddies telling me, like, you've never seen Typo Negative unless you've seen Typo Negative on Halloween. You know, it's like that's part of it.
I've seen Typo Negative.
Have you?
Yeah.
With the big upright bass the guy plays.
Well, he's gone now, but he's definitely a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the greatest things that I've ever seen guy on stage. It's like, this song's about me jumping off a roof and landing on somebody that I hate.
Where did you see them at?
I saw them in Camden. I saw them
Who were they
open up
with?
for Queensryche.
Really?
Yeah. This was back in, like, this had to be, I don't know, 95.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes like seeing one of those bands on Halloween becomes a rite of passage, like seeing the Dropkick Murphys on
St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's
Day.
Day in Boston.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. So you want to jump into the music?
Let's hear some tunes.
Let's start at the beginning. So I was surprised, man, when we started trying to figure out where shock rock started, and the first artist that I came across was Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
Yeah. He totally had the shock rock thing going for him, especially back in the 50s.
Yes, man. So it was like 1956, I had to look this up. That's the same year Elvis went on Ed Sullivan, and Screamin' Jay Hawkins was an African American dude, and he actually wrote the song "I Put a Spell on You" that Creedence made really popular.
And he had like a bone through his nose.
Yeah, he was great.
He was just really like he would be in a coffin. He would rise from the coffin.
Yeah,
Like I remember being kids and seeing footage of him as a young kid. And I'm like, this is great. You
Yeah,
know?
he had
and you
a-
always saw like around Halloween and everything like that.
He had like a whole like voodoo shtick. Like he had like a skull that he called Henry that he talked to. And, I thought it was pretty interesting how he got his shtick too. Did you guys read this?
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
That he was kind of the guy started taking piano lessons and guitar lessons in his 20s, and he actually stopped. He told his music teacher, like, man, I'm going to be, I don't want you to teach me. I want to kind of learn on my own. And he was really like a serious musician, and he went to record this song, and it was supposed to be a ballad, but he got really, really drunk the night before he did it. So he does all this like screaming, and his voice is all over the place. He said he got so drunk, he had to relearn the song. He didn't even remember recording it. And when he played it back, the record label was like, yo, man, this is like, you can't be a black guy in the 50s singing like this. It's too
Risque.
sexual
I can
and
see that.
risque.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the NAACP came in. And
You can't act like that.
yeah, they were like,
really?
Yeah, they were. I thought I was going to read it and be like, they stood up for him and they were like, dude, you can't be a black person singing like this. You got to get like,
No kidding.
kind of like
Yeah, to
you're
them-
being an uppity black
Yeah,
person.
to them, you're like setting us back years.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I never heard that before. That's crazy.
But then all the negative publicity around it made it popular.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah, and then this album comes out, and then Alan Freed, who is we talked to him a little bit about in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame episode, like the legendary DJ. He was like, "Dude, that song's great. I'll give you $300 if you come out of a coffin on stage." And he took it, and that became his whole shtick. But they said that he absolutely hated. He thought the whole shtick of him like dressed as like voodoo guy was like really exploitive to black people, and he said he hated his like that he was like screaming Jay Hawk, like he wanted to be this like really serious guy, and he hated it that he
That
kind
it
of
was
became
character.
a novelty. Yeah,
Well, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's a
But-
shame though. He wanted to be. He's known for this.
Yeah, but-
coming out
but-
of coffins.
but he also had a song called Constipation Blues where he would wheel a toilet out on stage and sit on it when he played. So
That's pretty shocking.
Yeah,
that's a
so-
shocking.
That's even shocking now.
Yeah,
like-
I wouldn't want to see that.
No.
So, yeah, man, why don't we play a little bit of I Put a Spell on You?
Yeah, play that shit.
I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. Stop the things you do. What's up? I ain't lying. Yeah, I can't stand. Woo! No running around.
Man, you knew that was done in one take.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that after listening to that, do you think that Howlin' Wolf had an influence on him at all? In his music
That's
and everything like that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I kind of, I want to say possibly yes. You know, like, cause, you know, he recorded this before he started doing his like stage antics and all that. And then like Wolf would be up there acting like a wolf, like with the handkerchief
Yeah,
and all
that's
that.
a great point.
So even like in the music, I can hear the influence of Howlin' Wolf in him.
Yeah,
Like,
the horns.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the way his
It's like a
voice is, you know, the way
Yeah.
he sings and everything like that.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. And some of the later, I watched some YouTube videos of him. He's up there and he's like, I put a spell on you. Like, booga, 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 booga.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
great.
He really camped it up.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, dude, I mean, you can clearly, if you watch a video of this, you can clearly connect the dots from this to Alice Cooper.
Sure.
You know, like, it's
Sure.
right there.
He's probably, yeah, I loved it. But I always loved that song, even before like Creedence did or anything like that. Even like as a young kid, I always thought that the song was neat.
I always remember this version more than the version that Creedence does.
Yeah,
It's like, oh wow, Creedence is covering that song.
yeah,
You know, not for 1 second did I think it was a
Yeah.
Creedence song.
yeah. I think he's iconic. I really do.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I think my parents, I think, had one of his cassette tapes
Sure.
growing up, and that's how I
It's
knew
probably
who
like
it
one of
was.
those novelty things.
Yeah,
You know,
Right, like
they would play like on Halloween.
Monster Mash, and one of
Yeah.
those cassette tapes you'd buy that have like the collection of all their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Is Monster Mash shock rock?
I thought about that yesterday when I was out running, and I was like, I think it's more novelty than,
Yeah.
and like I don't think he was being serious. So
but that guy never like. I seen him. Forgive me, I forget his name. Who sang the Monster Mash? But you see him on TV. He has no gimmick. It's some white guy and like with a short haircut, and he could just do those voices. you know?
Moving on, the next guy that I had on my notes, I don't know if you guys had anything on him, but this guy named Screaming Lord Sutch, and I only have him next on my list because Screaming Jay Hawking, Screaming Lord Sutch. This is like this is a British guy who was really inspired by Screaming Jay Hawkins, but he dressed up like Jack the Ripper.
Nice.
So he had like the top hat and the big cape. This guy was really weird, and his album came out in '69. But he would come out in a coffin, and he had skulls on stage. And let me play a little bit of one of his songs. There's a song called "Flashing Lights."
Wow. I think he sounds like Jagger. I think it sounds like the Stones.
Definitely with the guitar. I don't think I've ever really heard that song. I love it.
That's Jimmy Page playing guitar.
Is it really?
Yeah. So this dude has worked with Keith Moon, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Charlie Watts, John Bonham, and Richie Blackmore.
Wow.
And nobody knows who he is.
Was that before like those bands broke out?
It was '69.
Okay,
so they were
all-
out. Yeah. It's really weird, man, because one of his albums, the BBC did a poll, and it was called the absolute worst album of all time, even though all these musicians were on it. And I guess the other thing about it was the dude actually started his own political party called the Official Monster Raving Loony Party.
Nice.
And he ran for parliament 39 times. It's the most that anybody's ever run for parliament. And he wound up hanging himself in like 99.
Oh, really?
But it was like
38 wasn't enough.
Right. The 39th time put him over the edge. He actually had a song called Jack the Ripper that was like, that he totally played up. So just somebody I'd never heard
I
of,
like
and I
it.
just kind
Yeah,
of uncovered, and I was kind of digging the music. I didn't see what people were. So the BBC was crapping on it so much.
I'm
but
like so intrigued. All these guys played on that song. Did they play on the
it's
album?
it's an album, yeah.
And all those guys play on the album.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to listen to that.
The album that his album Lord Such and the Heavy Friends was ranked the worst album of all time by the BBC, even though Jimmy Page, John Bonham, and Jeff Beck wrote it and performed on it.
Wow.
Crazy.
They must have had a good laugh after
Yeah,
that review.
I don't know how they all connected or whatever. But,
Drugs.
right. So, all right, man. So I guess the next guy we should talk about is another British dude.
Yeah, this guy's totally goofy. I think his sound is pretty goofy.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement, but yeah, it's way out there.
What's his name, Bruce?
Arthur Brown.
Yeah.
We play his music right off the bat.
All right.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire. I'll take you to learn. I'll see you burn. You fought hard and you saved and earned, but all of it's going to burn. And you mind your tiny mind, you know you've really been so blind. Now's your time, burn your mind, fall apart and fall behind. No, 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 you're gonna burn. Fire.
I love that song. I had
it's-
never heard that before. We started doing this research.
That's more like psychedelic shock rock.
But, so they came out like in 69 or something like that?
67.
Wow.
60, dude, no, like watch footage of this guy, and we all did this week, and he has like a halo of fire on his head.
He's
and
got a hat that's on fire.
It's like a bad LSD trip.
but he's wearing the white makeup with the black eyeliner. Like
Yeah.
Alice Cooper said, he got the idea for his makeup from this
I think
guy.
a lot of these guys did. I think a lot of these future shock guys got an idea off of this dude.
Alice Cooper said he saw him and was inspired to kind of get into this music. And
like I think it's really like the song's really silly, but this guy was definitely before his time. Like watching the footage of him, like can you imagine? Like, was he doing like LSD before everybody else was doing LSD?
Yeah,
It's
67.
67.
Yeah, Doug, you said it when we were watching the video. You were like, this guy must have been like an alien in
Can
1967.
you imagine?
Yeah, he was totally on another level.
Yeah.
And one thing that I read, he was actually in the Tommy movie. He played the priest in The Who's Tommy. You know,
Really?
Yeah.
I had in my notes that he went on tour with The Who, Hendrix, The Doors, The Small Faces, Zappa, and Joe Cocker.
They probably loved him. They're all tripping on acid.
Yeah,
Like, this
like,
guy's
just
great.
crazy.
He has a halo of fire.
And then I guess he was so influential. Like at some point, like Bruce Dickinson, like ran into him somewhere and was like, "Sir, you don't know me, and I've never taken acid in my life, but I didn't need to because I could just watch you." And said he was inspired by him.
Dude, if you got to watch the video to really understand. Like, it's a shame that a lot of these things that we're talking about needs a visual to it. But the visual of this guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put together like maybe we can do like a YouTube playlist of some of the visuals of this stuff.
He's like between King Diamond and Gene Simmons.
Yeah,
and
the Yardbirds with like the music or something like that.
I don't know organ.
I know
that organ.
Yeah.
It takes me to Partridge Family.
yeah.
No, yeah, well, it's the time.
He looks almost like Ming the Merciless from the old
Yeah.
Flash Gordon movie.
Yeah.
Like just kind of with the goatee.
Like, I think people out there are either going to think he's absolutely brilliant or like absolutely silly. Like, I thought it was silly.
No,
you know?
I take him seriously with that halo of fire.
No, you got to take somebody serious that's going up on stage with like a flaming halo.
Right, light your head on fire.
Yeah. It's like Daffy Duck. I can only do this trick once.
Yeah, right.
You know?
right. If it fails, I'm never doing it again. Yeah, I really enjoyed that song. I think that may be one of the things that I like so much about this episode is like I just uncovered a lot of stuff I'd never listened to before.
Yeah.
And I was digging it. So something else my wife's tired of hearing me play in the house. For
Is she
2
happy?
weeks.
Is she happy this week's over with?
Yeah. I had to like I was like, did I tell you about the band Ghost? And she was like, 4 times.
Yes. You know, a lot of these songs, like, some of them really suck.
I agree.
I mean,
agree.
it's like, like it wasn't like a great 2 weeks of listening to some great music. A lot of this is crap.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, some of it gets really crappy, especially some of the newer stuff is really bad.
Now, going back to last week's episode, like you had to be some kind of like derelict or some kind of like outcast or something like. Imagine what are these fans like that listen to nothing but this stuff?
Right.
I don't know.
They live in the basement and like
future serial killers.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah. You know, your kids run around with a Slayer shirt, and
that's one thing. And then,
but if you see him with a halo of fire, call the therapist. Damn it.
So that's like the foundation, and then I guess the way we organize this in our notes is the next era we talked about was like the classic shock rock guys, and I had that as being Kiss and Alice Cooper. And I know, Doug, when we were setting up, you were like, does Kiss belong in this conversation?
Yes.
I think they do, but Doug is the biggest Kiss fan here.
Like, I get it. Like, especially with the Gene Simmons demon character. Like, he spits blood, dude. He wears bat wings. He flies through the air. He has a sword. He spits fire. Like, it's like, and again, like, a lot of people disagree with me. Like, Kiss's music is good by itself, but it wouldn't be anything without their stage show.
Do you think that they're like when we did the hair bands episode, and I wouldn't put Bon Jovi on my list because I'm like, they transcend that. Do you think the Kiss is
me and Ryan talked about that, and I think we both came up agreed that they evolved into the hair band. They went with the times and all.
But I think they originally went out to shock people.
Sure,
but
you know.
But you think that they're almost like, they're so talented or so big that they're like above this.
Well, let's not get too crazy.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Ace Frehley's really talented. Like, Gene Simmons, he's all right. You know, he's okay. Paul Stanley's talented. But,
Peter Criss is a great drummer.
Peter Criss is a great drummer. But it's just, like, their stage show is so... Were they before Alice Cooper? Or was Alice Cooper before them? Or were they about the same time?
Cooper came out like in '69, I believe, his first album. Because he was like hanging out with Jimi Hendrix.
Sure, yeah, that's right. He was. Yeah,
he was like, Jimi Hendrix actually knew Alice and got him his first manager, Shep.
That's actually really right, because they have a documentary out there about Alice Cooper, which is really for life of me, I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like, he was like kind of like, he wasn't. Like, he didn't transform into the character Alice Cooper.
They were just the band called Alice Cooper.
That's right.
Yeah. And they were a little psychedelic.
Yeah.
Cooper was friends with, we'll talk into it, but he was friends with a lot of famous people.
Did you see Alice Cooper tour with Kiss? So I'm sitting here Googling like who came out with the album first. And the only thing that came up was that they went on tour together in like the late 80s.
Oh, that'd be a great show.
That'd be friggin' awesome.
The late 80s,
awesome
then you have
now.
you have hair band Kiss and then Alice Cooper doing what Alice Cooper does.
Yeah.
That'd be a great show.
Yeah. But Alice Cooper, like he had a big background in like the Carney stuff that we were talking earlier. Like he was great friends with Groucho Marx. He took care of him toward the end of his life. Managed his money because he had the same like managers and accountants for his whole entire life, and they were just ripping him off. So Cooper, being such a big fan, he took over his estate and everything like that. And then when he died, they were doing the Hollywood sign over again. So Alice Cooper paid for one of the O's that get made that's dedicated to
Harpo.
No, for Groucho.
Groucho.
For Groucho Marx.
Really?
And there's a plaque. I've never been there, but there's a plaque, dedicated to Groucho Marx.
Different TV shows and like that. And we was talking earlier this week was when Alice Cooper was on the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
That's a great episode.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my most memorable. He had like, I don't know, he had the two monsters dancing with him on the stage and everything like that.
That scared the shit out of me as a kid. Yes. I went back and I watched it, and I always remember, like, I don't remember much about it. I just remember being scared by there was a monster with like a triangular face.
Yeah, I watched it.
And I watched it this week, and I was like, that's the motherfucker that gave me nightmares that I didn't sleep for a couple days.
Well, apparently Alice did a good job, because now they have those Muppet shows on the Disney Plus thing. Now there's disclaimers in front of the shows.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I watched it on. It was on Disney Plus.
Yeah, dude. Alice, great job. You're still offending people like 40 years later. They had to put parental advisories before your Muppet show. But I think Alice Cooper is definitely better as shock rock than Kiss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he had definitely had more props. Like Alice, he did a little magic. He did bring the snakes out.
Yeah.
He'd bring like
The guillotine,
the
cut his head off.
Yeah, you'd spend your $12.50 to go see Alice. You get your money's worth.
I said it before. I seen him open up for Motley Crue on that last tour.
Yes.
And watching Alice Cooper open up before he blew Motley Crue off the stage. But I had a smile from ear to ear because it was the greatest thing I ever seen. First of all, every major musician wants to play with Alice Cooper because he treats his guys right. He's a perfectionist. He's a professional.
I've always said, I've said this a couple times on the show, like, I like rooting for musicians that are just good people.
Sure.
And I've again, my friend who's his publicist said he is like the nicest person in rock and
that's why
roll. And I
everyone wants
think
to work with him.
she works with like Hatebreed and a whole bunch of other bands.
He's a really big Christian.
He's also a really big golfer. He's like a professional grade golfer.
For years, you would see him on TV, these celebrity golf outings.
Yeah.
But like he suffered from alcoholism and all that. And
I'm sorry.
like he suffered from like he was a bad alcoholic and everything like that. And he always said like when he went on stage, he became Alice. And toward longer in his career, there was no I forgive me, I can't remember his real name. But he didn't know
Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent
Vercella or something.
And where Al stopped.
Yeah.
He really couldn't like find the boundaries.
Well, when he was all wasted.
Yeah, he just became Alice 24/7. 24/7, And that's going back to like hanging out with Groucho Marx because Groucho Marx would be up all night and he was his neighbor. He's like, oh, all right, I'll come over and hang out with you.
How about we play a little bit of Alice Cooper?
Yeah.
Play it.
They can't be seen with me, and I'm getting real shot down, and I'm feeling mean. No more Mr. Nice Guy, no more Mr. Clean, no more Mr. Nice Guy. They say he's sick, he's obscene.
Alice is obscene.
The stuff he does, man, is timeless. Like I still listen to it.
Yeah, I watched a few of his concerts this week on YouTube, and it's definitely fun.
I was at the same show you were talking about, Doug, with Motley Crue, and I thought Motley Crue was not good.
Not at all.
And my wife and I, we were like, dude, Alice Cooper, man, was great. And I'd never seen him in concert before.
And actually, I think he was going to do a tour before the pandemic hit. And I said to Anna, I'm like, we're going.
Yeah, he was supposed to play Philly.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going. It was a small, and it was his show. Wasn't his show? It was like a small show, like at the, probably at the, like on South Street or something like that.
It was at the Man Music Center.
Was it the Man?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We were going to go.
Somebody, I did find one podcast about shock rock that I listened to, and it was an episode that was like 6 or 7 years old, and I wish I remember the name of the show. And they had a good point that like Alice Cooper, if he was out now, he would not be shocking
enough.
And not even because of the visuals, but like, I think part of the allure of him was like, dude, you have to go see this guy, man.
Yeah.
He decapitates himself with a guillotine. If you see it on, but then it'd be like, oh, I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, it would downplay it.
I mean, imagine in the 70s, coming out to see Alice Cooper, and you're sitting very far away, and you're drunk, and everything's blurry, and holy shit, they cut off Alice Cooper's head.
Yeah, so maybe for people don't listen to him or know his shtick was like he would put his head in a guillotine and then have like a mannequin head.
Yeah.
And then somebody would be like holding up his head and like,
he would have like monsters come out.
Yeah, like paper, and there's still the same shitty like paper mache Frankenstein, which makes it awesome.
And actually, that guillotine's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is
if
it?
you take the tour, yeah. And what's really funny is that he has like dancers on stage at times and people assisting with his props and everything like that. I think his daughter is a main part of his show now, like with the snakes and all that other stuff. So it's like a family business.
He takes a foil, like a sword, like a fencing foil, and he puts like $100 bills on it, like fake $100 bills, and he does $100 or $1 Million Baby, the song.
Okay.
And he like flips them on top of the crowd and everything like that. So there's like money flying everywhere.
Does he wear like the top hat?
He
wears the white top hat and all that.
Yeah.
But even his album covers, because that was like a famous album cover with the white top hat and everything like that. His album covers have always been great.
He's the best, man. He's like out of all of these bands, he's the best. He's the top of the pinnacle of it.
Yeah. But like you go see one of his shows, like people go see Kiss because of it's the stage show. It's a flashback from the good old days. That's the same thing going to see Alice Cooper. You're going to go see Alice Cooper. You're going to get your money's worth. You're going to get that show that he did in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought it was pretty cool, man. I watched a video or an interview with him, and he talked about like where he got started. And he said like when he wanted to be shocking and he didn't have a lot of money for any of these effects, that he would just go backstage and just grab anything. He's like, oh, here's a hammer that they're using to the set. So he would come out and just bang it against the mic stand and make sparks.
Whatever he could do.
Yeah. And then he said he took pillows and like CO2 canisters and would just tear the pillows open and shoot the feathers in the air, which is also where like the chicken story comes from.
Yeah.
When somebody threw a chicken on stage, and he thought it was a fake chicken,
so he threw it back in the audience, and they just destroyed it and ripped it into pieces.
He said he thought chickens could fly. He's like, oh, they're a bird, they could fly. And then
Yeah.
you see his chicken fly into the crowd.
He said-
and they ripped it apart. Apparently,
He said the most the disturbing part. He's like, it fell into the first 2 rows, and the first 2 rows were people in
Were
wheelchairs.
people in wheelchairs? Yes.
And he's like, so they're the ones that tore this poor bird apart.
And maybe we can talk about the role that the media plays in all of this. Because then the media, the story then becomes Alice Cooper murdered a chicken on stage and he drank the blood. And he was going to refute that. And Frank Zappa was like, don't you dare. He's like, dude, let them run with their story.
Yeah.
I mean, and we start talking about like Marilyn Manson. I mean, like the stories that the media came up with, the shit that they came up with was just, you know, that becomes part of the hype.
That's one thing he's got over Kiss. Kiss never killed anything on stage.
no.
I read that like he tried to play in London and the London government wouldn't let him because they said, oh, we know you sacrifice live cats on stage as part of your show. And then he wound up his album went to #1 and he wound up playing Wembley Stadium.
Wow.
Because of all the publicity
Did he
against
really
him.
play Wembley Stadium? Good
Yeah,
for
he
him.
said
That's
like,
great.
he said he was getting, so his 1973 tour was the most popular tour in the history of the world at the time. So he outplayed the Stones because of all this crap that people were negative attention. And he said like, the guys in his band actually started carrying firearms with them because they were getting so many death threats. So like, we know you're killing animals and you worship the devil.
Can you imagine going down south, down the Bible Belt doing that show?
Right.
You know what's, why we're still on Alice Cooper? I read something this week that I found hilarious. Now, this happened with Manson. Everybody thought that he was Paul Pfeiffer from the Wonder Years. You know who they thought Alice Cooper was?
No.
Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. That he grew up to be Alice Cooper. But like this always just follows like these demons were like TV child stars, you know.
Wait a minute, I thought he was supposed to be Eddie Munster.
No,
Alice Cooper wasn't Eddie
Yeah,
Munster.
he was
I
Eddie
heard
Haskell.
that.
He was Eddie Haskell.
It would be cooler if he was Eddie Munster.
I agree.
Did you hear that Rob Zombie's rebooting the Monsters for like Netflix?
Yeah.
Like they announced it
Yeah.
like really recently. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I'll be banging.
Yeah. No, I hope he gets it right.
I hope it's like really creepy and dark.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be
I
funny.
think it's not supposed to be campy. I think it's supposed to be like
Nice.
serious and dark.
They
So,
have the hot cousin that lives with them.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lock her up in the basement with the what was the pet dinosaur Spot? Yeah.
Is Moon Zombie going to be playing her?
His wife.
Moon Zombie?
Yeah. You know what? I do have one more thing about Alice Cooper. So I read an interview with him, and he was like, they're like, why did you do this? What inspired you? And he said he saw Arthur Brown, and he also said that like music is all full of heroes. Everybody has like Elvis is my hero, this guy's my hero, and he's like, there's no villains.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna be the heel, and I want to be the heel of rock and roll. I thought it was really cool.
I never heard that. That's great.
You know, it's crazy. Alice's father was a preacher. You know, his whole life he's preaching to his son about God and everything like this. And Alice was also wanted to grow up to be an evangelist.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You know, but when Alice started making all these props and stuff for his show, his father was helping him make these props.
That's amazing.
Like, you know, like even though he's like this man of the cloth.
Everybody probably thought like he was this kid who sacrificed the animals, and is completely opposite.
Yeah, and he's like this, like I said earlier, he's this Christian.
Yeah.
And he had this Christian faith his whole life. And his father was a preacher. And Bruce said there was no villains in rock and roll.
Yeah.
So
Just a
he
great
wanted to-
entertainer.
you know.
What a great
Yeah.
entertainer. What a great actor or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
it's
him.
like I mean, we can talk about the motivation. A lot of these bands, like his, was just kind of like, all right, dude, I'm gonna go play. I'm gonna take an angle that nobody else is doing.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna
Yeah.
try to be cool and interesting. And you know, at some point, like Kiss and Alice Cooper, they really stopped being the villains.
We were really not going to play a Kiss song.
Oh, dude, yeah. We kind of glanced over Kiss, and that's
I
kind
was
of
going to
shame
say
on us.
something, but I was like, we heard
All right,
enough
well,
Kiss on the
let's
show.
talk about Kiss a little bit.
Let's do some Kiss.
All right, let's play some Cold Gin.
Nice.
It's broken, I'm so tired. I need some fuel to build a fire. Come and start lights around you.
That first album's great. That first Kiss album.
Yeah. What's really funny about that, he wrote that about Ace Frehley because Ace Frehley was known, to party a lot, even in the beginning. But Ace always drank vodka, and they couldn't find the word, like nothing rhymed with vodka. So it's like, okay, we'll just turn it into cold gin. Like cold vodka didn't sound like a good lyric.
Yeah,
so they
really.
called it
That
cold
don't
gin
fit at all.
Yeah. But I think Alice Cooper, he really performed better. Like Gene Simmons,
But Kiss went over the top.
they went over the top
with the fireworks and the lights.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
From the guitar, with the fire coming out of guitar and it flies in the air.
Yeah.
From Gene spitting blood to
Yeah.
beating Rise to the Ceiling,
Yeah.
singing Thunder, God of
Got
Thunder.
Yeah, I feel like if we had to make like connections, I was like, I could see the dotted line from Arthur Brown to Alice Cooper to Rob Zombie.
Sure.
And I could see the dotted line from like Kiss to like Gwar.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
over
I
the
agree with that.
completely over the top.
I can see that. Actually, it was Ace Frehley's birthday this week, and I saw a video of him. Like, I forgot about this. Like, they did it in the retour that they did in the late '90s. But like, he would get down his guitar solo, and then he would step to the side of the stage, and there'll be a string there, and there'll be a rocket on it. So he would like lean back, and then a rocket would shoot across the stage into the air, and then like lights would come down and everything like that.
I would have loved to see Kiss in the 70s, man.
But you saw like to its perfection when we
Yeah.
just saw them last. Like a few years ago, that was the show that they wish they could have put on in the 70s.
I mean, who puts their own blood in their comic book?
This is great. For years, I always wanted one of them, and
They're
saw
very
one-
hard to find. I tried to find you one.
Yeah, dude, I went to, or I think we went to Comic-Con like maybe 10 years ago, and I saw one for $100.
So wait, what is this?
Marvel put out a Kiss comic book,
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
and they put their own blood in the red ink.
Like in the ink?
Yeah, it's called Made with Real Kiss Blood.
Okay.
And I saw one at Comic-Con like years ago, and it was only $100, and I regret not ever
Not
buying it. for
Kind of like
$100.
when Ryan didn't buy the Biggie Smalls action figure
Yes.
he
Yeah,
saw at a
That's probably the same Comic Con.
Yeah.
flea market. And now
There's
they're like
new
$300.
ones. There's new ones out now.
Biggie Smalls?
Yeah,
Really?
there's like the pop figures. There's a Biggie Smalls.
The
out.
one you found, man, like you can't find them on eBay for less than like $300.
I should have grabbed it.
You absolutely.
Yeah, I dropped the ball on that one.
So, yeah, Kiss also started. Like, they were one of the first bands too. Like everyone started calling them Satan worshipers.
Kiss.
What was it? Knights in Satan's
Yeah,
Service.
and they wouldn't deny it. They're like, hey,
Any
you
press
write-
is good press.
Right, you write
Yeah,
whatever
You're
you
a
want.
lot more creative than we are.
Right, and if that's going to make you go
sorry.
buy some stuff,
Well,
go right ahead.
There's this footage of Kiss on the Mike Douglas show, like really early in their career. And I forget who the actress is and everything like that. And Gene's sitting in there, and he's young, and like they're just starting to get to perfection. So he's sitting there with all this gimmick on and all that. And this woman who's an actress, like she's really old at the time, and she's like, I can see right through you. You're probably a nice Jewish boy from like Queens or something. And it's like, if you only knew, in his devil voice,
It's
So
funny.
like,
Yeah. That first Gene look was scary.
and I
looking.
loved it. I love that
You
first
know?
Gene. Like I have a Gene Simmons tattoo. That's the look I wish I would have got.
Yeah, I
You know?
mean, he
had the
he was
skull.
really thin.
Yeah, he had like the skull and crossbones shirt
Yeah,
on and everything
yeah.
like that. He played in Music Man, which I've never seen him play after that. But I think maybe Kiss did do a little bit better. They took
They
all
sold
kinds
a lot
of
more albums.
Dude,
than
they took
Alice did.
with their mystique. Like people were always trying to like get pictures without the makeup. Like the Enquirer, like
the National Enquirer.
yeah, they would have like $2,000 if you can get Kiss without their makeup. They would never, ever, ever.
And
Yeah.
Gene, just for pocket money, would send his own picture and get the money for it.
That wouldn't surprise me.
we were talking about on another show how we didn't even know Kiss had makeup on. Like,
In the beginning,
in the
yeah.
80s, when we were kids, Kiss had the 80s and they were being glam, and that's the only Kiss we knew. And then we found out they were makeup, and we're like, holy shit.
I loved it when you did say, like, you know, Kiss just got so much cooler than they were
Yeah.
when you find out they had this
They
makeup.
had all the makeup.
And I was just sold. Like, when I found that they had makeup on, they had this whole persona and this big show. And I still remember the first time I heard Kiss Alive. Like, even to this day, like,
Yeah.
Ryan and myself will go to Wildwood on the beach, and Ryan is always in charge of the music. And then he'll
Always.
put something on from Alive. And we would sit there and just like, man, this is so good. So if you're out there, you want to judge Kiss, go listen to Kiss Alive, and then come back, and you can tell us they still stink, but they're great. They're great.
I'll listen to it because
Yeah.
It's a great
we
live
said in one
album.
episode that I don't like Kiss, but I'll check it out.
That's the album you got to listen to. They
All
just
right.
tear it apart.
All right, I'll do it. I'll
And some
check
of it was recorded at the convention hall in Wildwood, on the
Wildwood.
boardwalk. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We good?
Yeah, I
With
guess
Kiss?
so.
You want to move
Yeah.
on? So
Sure.
I did find it was pretty interesting. They were like a lot of people that were offended by them started burning their stuff, and guys from the Kiss were like,
Knock
"Cool,
yourself out."
If you're burning it, you're buying it.
Sure.
So you go
You're
right
going to
ahead.
have to buy it again.
And I think these two bands too, kind of like right after the shock rock gets like mean. I guess it like satanic.
No, because Kiss was like a family-oriented thing by the end of the makeup era.
Yeah, you start seeing kids dressing up as Kiss for Halloween.
Yeah.
The one of them, the video of them singing Beth, you know, he's behind a piano with his
Yeah.
You know, and Alice Cooper, like we said, was on the Muppets.
the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
So a lot of like, it was interesting because a lot of the hardcore newer bands were like, those guys were soft. You know, like
yeah. Like
but-
it was like for kids. Like the merchant, like, you know, Kiss did like Beatlemania on steroids. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, who do you aim Halloween towards? Kids.
Kiss. Yeah, kids. Yeah.
And I guess that's a great segue into definition of what is shocking moves, because some of the bands, when they try to find another way to be shocking, it's not like I'm going to wear something creepy. Now it's like Satan. You know, and the two bands that I have written down here are Merciful Fate and Venom.
Yes, Merciful Fate.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, we're talking about them for Merciful Fate and King Diamond.
I love the Diamond.
Yeah. I like King Diamond.
Did
I like him.
I like
than his
him.
two other acts.
I like his gimmick.
Yeah.
His music sucks.
I
mean, but his gimmick is great.
So, yeah, man, why don't we talk about his gimmick a little bit first? So he had, he had like the corpse paint with like the like white face paint with like black stripes on it.
Yeah.
He had like a upside down cross on it
He
somewhere.
scared the shit out of me when I see him on Headbangers Ball as a kid.
And he did pretty crazy stuff. He would like throw like pig guts at the audience and all kinds of outrageous
Well,
stuff.
the thing I always thought was funny, it was like, here's King Diamond, and then when he talks, he's like this British chap. Hello, I'm
Yeah,
King
he's
Diamond.
he's Dutch.
Yeah.
He's got that like Hurgen Flurgen Blurgen accent.
But he has like a real like gentleman way about how he talks. And,
Yeah.
yeah. I want him to snarl and
Yeah. But in the beginning, his makeup was very similar to Gene Simmons' makeup, and this lawsuit went on for a long, long time, and where he eventually had to change his makeup to that upside down cross on his forehead, or he put crosses on his cheek or something like that. But Gene Simmons won that case.
get a better lawyer.
Yeah,
He might have been the lawyer.
and he's another band where like the media, the bullshit, the hype.
Yeah.
Because like the stories were always that he slept in a coffin when he was on tour, and he lived in a castle, and he didn't have any electricity, and it was only lit by candles and all this crap. But he's another dude, he's another band where I see him, and then I listen to the music, and the voice doesn't match the appearance at all. I was listening to him, my kids and I were going somewhere Saturday, and I had the playlist on, and this came on, and my daughter and my son were both like, what the hell are we
Why don't you
listening
play
to?
it? Play it.
All right. This is Abigail by
Yeah.
King Diamond.
Yeah.
I can't take him seriously with that voice.
Yeah.
I know Axl Rose will hit those high notes, but I can't take that serious.
No.
Watching the video, that dude in that makeup hitting those high notes, I can't do it.
No, and he's in leather and he's got a top hat on.
Yeah, he's another guy who had a skull. It was actually a real human skull that he had.
Yeah.
It was called Melissa that he would sing to.
But listening to that song, like before he started hitting those high pitched squeals and all that, it's kind of like a little bit like what Dave Mustaine tried to do, like that growling. If you listen to the verses, so maybe that's where Dave kind of got his influence from a little bit. But I remember hearing this story about like King Diamond as a kid. I don't know how true it is, but he was like a very accomplished soccer player. At one time, I just thought it was worth mentioning. Like, he was either going to be a soccer player or he was going to be a singer.
I saw and I watched a YouTube documentary on shock rock, and we'll share it on our Facebook page. But the guy went to King Diamond's house and he interviewed him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, all I do right now is I scare my cats." And his cat was walking, and then he hit I'm not going to try to do the falsetto. His cat like flips out and runs away. Hey, all right. I don't know. We need to see. So he's in a band, Merciful Fate, and they're still around.
He has a huge cult following.
Yeah.
I know that he played New York a couple years ago. A friend wanted me to go with him. I said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" No, I'm not going.
I remember like a couple years ago, a customer came. It was right around Halloween. He did his tour. And it was like a Friday night. He came in. I'm like, "Oh, where you guys coming from?" They're like, "Oh, we just saw King Diamond." I'm like, get out of here. I would love to see it, just to sit there and just laugh.
I'd get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of bands like as I get gotten older, like I'll go see just to say I saw them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It'd be great people watching, I'm sure.
I just find it funny that like all this music that we're talking about, like horror and Satan and everything in that guy's voice, and just kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, he has that typical English metal. Screaming voice that you hear from like Judas Priest.
Yeah, but they do it better though.
Hey, I don't like it at all. So they all can be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the next band we're going to talk about?
Let me read your mind.
Venom.
I like their name. I do have a song on the playlist, I believe.
Yeah. This is another band I didn't know. I've heard the name. They came up a lot, man, in the Big Four episode, like as an influence. I didn't know any of their music, so yeah. Why don't we play 30 seconds up before? This is the little ballad called "Welcome to Hell."
Like, I don't find it so offensive. It just sounds like 80s metal to me. So I know nothing about this band. Do they have like a gimmick?
Yeah.
I don't know when that album came out.
Their album cover had this big pentagram on it with a goat's face on it. It's real evil looking. But that's what when I think of them, that's the image that comes to you. Yeah.
So that album came out in 81.
Okay.
So you're probably pushing the envelope with all that, like the scary satanic stuff. I thought it was pretty funny as I watched a video with them. This is another band I didn't know anything about. Like I said, they came up in the Big Four research a little bit. First time I listened to them and I watched some videos, the lead singer looks like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. He had the same receding hairline. I was waiting for him to be like, put the lotion in the basket. And they said that they wanted to dare parents to tell their kids that they couldn't listen to it, knowing that the kids would listen to it.
That's the worst thing you can do. Don't ever listen to this. Oh, you're going to listen to it automatically.
I watched an interview with their drummer, and the drummer was like, dude, we're not musicians, we're entertainers. Sure. And I thought this was pretty funny. So he said, like, he told a story about, like, some bishop in England went and spent all of this money to buy all this high-end equipment to play the record backwards. And he was like, there's satanic messages in here. And the drummer goes like, dude, the album is called Welcome to Hell. The song is called In League with Satan. It has a pentagram on it. you could just play it forward,
you
and
only
all
play
the crap
backwards.
you're looking for is right there.
Yeah,
man.
you don't have to
Like,
play it backwards.
Backwards. Yeah, don't
save the money, brother. It's right there.
I like how he said like he's a performer. They're not musicians, performers. I give them credit for even like acknowledging that, say
Yeah.
that they are.
Well, that's the thing. Like some of these shock rock, they're not really good musicians.
I don't disagree with you.
You know,
I don't
Right,
disagree.
so
there's
they-
a lot
they
of
hide it
crappy
behind,
shit going
yeah.
on. I mean, Alice Cooper is one of the better ones.
Yeah. Now, did they have like a crazy stage performance or anything like that? They burn
They were like
pentagrams.
they were like a 3-piece band.
Okay.
And they kind of looked like Conan the Barbarian
Okay,
kind of
I
fucking thing.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a man of war kind of, like leather pants and no
Yeah,
shirt,
yeah,
kind
like
of
Bill-
like. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
The dude from Def Leppard that's really jacked.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, kind of like those dudes,
Yeah.
but like crossed with the guy from Silence of the Lambs.
It's just like you see them,
Yeah.
you see them, and they're like smiling and laughing and shit, and they got like these really evil songs.
Yeah. It's probably the first band that we've come across like they're just trying to be offensive.
Yeah.
Right? They're pushing the envelope for no other reason than trying to piss off parents, knowing that then the kids will want to listen to it.
Now, I don't see it unless you brought up Manowar. Are they a shock rock band?
No.
I didn't put them on here.
No,
No.
but
No,
you mentioned
I
it.
don't think so.
You don't think so? From what you told me of them and everything like that,
They're
I would
more like a-
definitely say like they're definitely like
I
shock
think
rock
they're
band.
more like a Norse god kind of. I don't know
Gotcha.
what their
Yeah.
They have a
stage
gimmick.
shows are like. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, they're not like Gwar
Yeah.
that shoots semen all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah. So, all right, we good with those guys? We good with Shock Rock?
Yeah,
Goes
man. Yeah,
Satan?
check out Venom.
And we have Gwar. Well, I have another section before we move on to Gwar. But so then the next thing we talked about was like kind of punk rock, and I mean, punk rock has always had a degree of shock to it. Right? The mohawks and the leather, and we talked about this a lot in our punk rock episode. But there's a couple bands that we missed in the punk rock episode. Well, maybe we should start with the one that we did talk about.
Okay.
Gigi Allen.
My hero, GG.
He's interesting.
He's he's if you listen to our punk rock show, we talk about GG. He is definitely in performance arts. He pushed that envelope as far as it could go.
Like as much as anybody we've ever talked about.
Yeah, like he would fight his own group of his crowd. He'd fight his band. He'd fight the crowd. He'd take a dump on the stage.
That is performance
He'd be
art
like
at its
naked
finest.
and-
Yeah.
Right.
He'd just roll around and, he would rape men. He would rape women,
Class act.
He would like punch a woman in the face. Hey, they're going to the
Going to the show. This
They're
is
going,
what, yeah.
they know what he does.
And that woman's probably walking around like, Gigi Allen punched me in the face, man. Like, it's a badge of honor,
Gigi's like a scumbag. But I found this song that I just can't get enough of. Can we play it?
Carmelita? Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear Mariachi static on my radio, and the tunes they glow in the dark. And I'm there with you when it's sonata, but I'm here in Echo Park. Carmelita, hold me tighter.
Dude, that's the best hook I've ever heard in a long time.
That's the greatest song I think I've ever heard him sing. The guitar's out of tune, though. It's really out of tune.
You have to see the video.
Dude,
of
that
him
guy's
doing
life
it.
was attitude.
Dude, how
Yeah.
come we never covered that song?
I don't know, but
Dude, we're
dude,
gonna do
that's
it now.
What a hook that has. I'm strung out on heroin.
Yeah, man.
On the edge of town.
Man, that came on the playlist, and I saw Gigi Allen's name, and I'm bracing for it.
Yeah.
And here
And I was
comes
like, what am I
this acoustic
listening
song.
to? Right. And then I look at the album, it's called the Tampa Acoustic Sessions. I'm like, what the hell are we listening to? Again, this is the second time that I've heard something that I'm like, what I expect and what I
Yeah.
hear are two, much like King Diamond's voice, two completely different
that's
things.
great.
See, in my opinion, Kurt Cobain wish he could write a fucking song like that.
Sure.
Like, straight up to be like, yeah, I'm on heroin. Like, straight up. He said it right on the fucking thing. Kurt had to, like, jump around, like,
dance around it,
not say it like that. And Gigi's like, and this is before Kurt was dead. He was dead by the time Nirvana.
But Kurt Kurt probably had too many like a record executive saying like, you can't say that. We're not going to put that out. You know.
Well, nobody put Gigi albums out either.
Gigi had no pressure on him.
So you know what his original name
real
is?
money in it.
You know what his real name is? Jesus Christ Allen. His dad
like his God-given name?
His God-given name
I
is
thought you were going to
Jesus.
say it was like Herman or something.
No. His Jesus Christ Allen. His father was out of his mind.
What do you think his motivations were in music? Was he
I think he was mentally ill.
Yeah, he definitely had
do you think
issues.
he was mentally ill?
Yeah.
Do you think he was?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could look at it when you see a picture of him, his face and one eye is a little off than the other eye.
Yeah, there's nobody home, dude.
Yeah.
It's just all this anger, and I think everything he sees is set on fire, and he just lives in he lived in a dark place.
He's just a junkie.
Yeah, and then he started doing that. His brother is a clown, too, to be honest with you. And his mother, she's out of her mind, too.
Yeah, we talked about them a little bit in the punk episode.
Yeah.
But he, like, you watch the Jerry Springer episode he's on, and he's
fucking awesome.
he's
great.
yeah, dude. He's being like really critical of like the system, and I don't want to make this like that he's like some super fucking intellectual.
He's not. Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't think he's an intellectual at all. But I think he was a little bit above the curve.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant when I asked if like what was his motivations. Like I don't think he was trying to be offensive for the sake of being offensive. I think he really believed when he was like, the system sucks and you follow me.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't just making shit up.
From what he saw of it, like I said, like he's no intellectual, but from what he understood and what he saw, really pissed him off.
Yeah, like Alice Cooper's playing a character.
Exactly.
Right? He's decidedly doing something to be provocative. This dude was all in with whatever character, or the guys from Venom saying like, hey man, we're trying to just be as offensive as possible to sell records.
Yeah.
Gigi Allen was all in, whatever he believed, whether it was mental illness or drugs or whatever.
It was
bit of everything. Yeah.
All of it stirred up into a mosh pit.
And
in his brain.
and thinking about it too, like the world needs, or music needs people like him out on the outskirts.
I remember seeing that Gigi Allen on, was it Jerry Springer or was it Sarah Jesse Raphael? It was one of them.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's out of his mind. And he's saying, your kids are going to follow me. Your kids are this.
Yeah.
And now it's like 30
Sounds
fucking
like some
years
Manson
later.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
30
it's
years
true.
later.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's true because here I am.
Yeah.
Here
we're
I
talking
am
about
talking about him on our show. Playing
right.
like,
He's the one guy we've talked about like on 2 shows.
no,
Yeah.
but he's that
He's worth
interesting to
talking
talk
to, yeah.
about.
Yeah.
He is that
I
interesting.
mean, his last show, he rolls around New York City for an hour in his underwear, and nobody picks him up. The cops don't pick him up. It's like the middle of the fucking day. He's rolling around naked. He's trying to get into a cab. Everybody's following him down the street. That's the last time you see Gigi Allen. He goes to his friend's house and he overdoses. And then you get that famous picture of the 2 girls with the picture of him. Don't even know that he's dead. Like Weekend at Bernie style.
Yeah.
But I think he's worth remembering though, and like definitely just not even necessarily this episode, but just in general, if you're a rock and roll punk rock fan that appreciate.
He was just
Like
cool.
different. He was just on another planet.
He had that
I
army
saw-
helmet. Remember he had that like Nazi helmet or whatever he had? When he was on the Sally Jesse show, he had like
Like a jock strap.
a jock strap, a
and
leather
he never
jacket.
washed it. Yeah,
Yeah, like-
and they buried him in that shit.
metal
Yeah.
leather riding boots and the goatee, and he had like a riding crop.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, he's definitely worth checking out. And if you want to hear more about it, go check out the punk rock episode we did, which was one of our all of our episodes are fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one, and we talked about him a lot.
You will guaranteed be offended.
Yeah.
He was definitely what was the George C. Scott played him. Pat. He's like
He was.
It's like
yeah.
Gigi Allen was like patting on bad acid.
Yeah. But if you're going to look at performance art and this and that, is he the best?
He is the best.
You know, he wasn't playing a character like you said.
No,
like
like
Alice
we
or
just
Kiss
listened
or
to that
anything. Yeah.
song. That song
Yeah,
is
he lived
honest
it.
to God truth.
Well, you can't then anything I will give him. At least he's an honest songwriter.
Maybe the
you know?
the most raw
Yeah.
musician we've talked about, like just mental illness and drug addiction and all that other shit, man. That guy, he just
I mean, if you listen to more to that song later on, he talks about how he gets his gun, pearl knife gun, or pearl handle gun,
Pearl-handled.
and he blows himself away in it. Like, man, he
He had a
was-
lot of demons.
Yeah. Not,
And he
not
was
the-
like to say, I'm going to kill myself on whatever day. And he's like, don't tempt me because I will. And then he didn't
And then
make it to the day because he
Right.
fucking overdosed.
Right.
But then I watched that documentary. Dude, I couldn't even sit through it all. I sat through maybe 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, that's enough of this jerk off.
I can
like,
sit through it. I find
you
him
know.
very intriguing. I mean,
No, he is, but
Yeah. I find it more interesting to talk about than to
Then-
listen
no,
to.
I-
his music sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that song that we played is the best song that he has. I mean, he has some great titles of songs. We played one of his songs before.
Yeah, like
What was it
the
called?
scumbag or
yeah.
like you suck or
You suck,
something.
yeah.
You suck scumbag or some deviation of that. So
No, but I've been meaning to. We're at the bar. My friend Nick Clark. We enjoy Gigi talking all the time about Gigi. I want
I
to
enjoy listening.
Yeah,
I enjoy listening.
I want him to draw me a picture of Gigi Allen so I can hang it in the men's room of McCuskers. I think
just don't draw it in your own poop.
I think that's the
because that's what his
perfect-
brother does. Gigi Allen's
I
brother
think-
does paintings with his own feces.
I think that'd be a perfect spot for Gigi Allen portrait. Would be
Sure.
in the bathroom of McCuskers.
with the patent helmet on.
With the patent helmet. Let's talk about the princess of shock rock,
yeah, Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. Man, we
Wendy O. Wow.
we missed this in the punk rock
yeah, we did.
episode. We like just going back doing this research. I'm like, man, we
She was something
messed
else.
up.
She was something else. She would always have you see footage of her, and it's absolutely outrageous. And especially for not to say especially back in the 80s or 70s, 80s, a woman like cutting a car in half and chainsaws and like
Yeah,
She was definitely one to go to press the envelope as far as it could go. She was for women's rights.
Yeah.
She was for animal rights. She was against censorship. She was against she wasn't against drugs, I'll tell you that.
no, but she's the only female rocker that we've talked about and that we're going to talk about in this whole episode. You know, and you're right. She was punk rock. She kind of had the mohawk. She was a stripper. She did some porn.
Dude, she was a sex show worker on 43rd Street in New York City.
that's not hard to believe.
That's right on right around Times Square.
When it
So
was
you
like-
gotta
when
think
it was-
about in the 70s
When
and
it was
80s.
really, really sleazy, dirty.
Our favorite New York.
That was my favorite
I know,
New York.
I know.
Sleazy New
Oh,
York. You know what
the
she,
one-
you know
the
what
one
she
with
was
the
famous for?
saxophone.
She was famous for doing the ping pong trick.
Really? If you don't know what the ping pong
And
truck is,
everybody-
you can go on the internet and find just
Every one of us knew exactly what that was without discussing that.
But she had this mohawk. She was blowing cars. She was definitely
Yeah.
the evil Knievel of punk rock.
very well said.
Yeah, she
very
was-
well said. She'd blow herself up, didn't she?
She'd blow herself up. She was on the morning show of Tom Snyder. Is that what his name was?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Tom Snyder. And Tom Snyder's just totally in love with her. He gets it.
Yeah.
She has all these TVs. It's like a wall TV. She has a wall TVs. And now she has a bus, a school bus. And she drives the school bus right through the wall TVs with her fucking mohawk. It looks like fucking Mad Max.
I've seen that before. It
And
is great.
She was taking like chainsaws to crap and
Yeah.
smashing her instrument, like totally wild, crazy stuff.
and this is not even on the stage. This is
No.
just on television.
She was
she-
wearing like no top. She was wearing
Yeah.
this like
Her tits
shaving
all over the
cream
out,
or
yeah.
whipped cream with
Yeah. She would get locked up in the middle of her show.
Yeah.
The cops would come in and just tear her off the show, and she'd be
Yeah. Decent
she
exposure.
would fight the
Yeah.
cops.
So I have a story on that. So she gets arrested for obscenity in 81. So she would bring a sledgehammer out and she would smash crap. And at one point she turns the sledgehammer upside down and she starts like stroking the handle like masturbation. And they arrest her for lewdness, which is like, dude, how many musicians play the guitar
And,
or
yeah.
the mic stand?
But Jim
Ken-
Morrison got arrested
yeah.
for that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's a woman.
Yeah.
And she gets arrested, and then she says one of the cops like groped her with her.
Probably
so
did.
she went nuts, and she turns around and punches the cops, and they beat the shit out of her. And there's pictures of her laying on the ground like in handcuffs. They broke her nose. Her manager, who wound up being her like domestic partner for 20 years, he jumps in and they beat him so badly he was unconscious and he went to the hospital and he got arrested.
Where did this happen?
Milwaukee in 81.
Wow, Milwaukee.
And then later that year, she comes out with the shaving cream top
Right.
in Cleveland, and they arrest her again. So she's getting locked up for all this. Like, dude, guys were doing this crap in rock and roll forever. Like Jim Morrison, 20 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
Again, the stroking the thing. That's part of rock and roll, man.
But Jim Morrison's just a blown out like alcoholic. She's a crazy person.
No, Wendy Williams was out of her goddamn mind. Her nickname was Wow.
Sure.
Wendy O. Williams.
Sure.
Let's play a song by her.
Right,
Before
do
we
it.
play the song, song's called Bump and Grind. Now, this album is basically Kiss's playing the backup band. You got Eric Carr playing drums. You got Ace Frehley on guitar. You got Gene playing bass that didn't get credit. He took his name off of it.
Smart man.
And Paul Stanley is
Really?
playing guitar.
No kidding.
It's called Bump and Grind.
All
right
right.
off the bat, it sounds like straight...
Kiss.
yeah, like Darkness in the Night, whatever it was called.
Creatures of the Night?
Creatures of the Night.
Okay.
Right off the bat.
Let's hear it.
All right, here we go.
All right,
If you're a Kiss fan around Creatures of the Night,
No, you hear it. And I've never heard that. And you could totally hear that sort of like that beginning 80s because it was made in 81. Paul Stanley definitely wrote the lyrics to that song. And if they got on board with that, Gene Simmons definitely thought he could market on it.
totally.
And then maybe he thought like, oh, this girl is out of her mind crazy.
Yeah.
And decided to break himself away from it.
Well, the album never came out until 2000
Okay.
something. So she died in like 1997.
Yeah.
I believe she blew her brains out.
Yeah, she committed suicide.
Yeah.
98.
Yeah. She definitely had mental illness. It's a shame.
Yeah, it said she tried taking a knife and a hammer and hammering it into her chest.
How
and
painful.
It got stuck in her chest bone, which is like, dude, like,
Is she?
I wonder what her background's like.
Yeah,
Like,
she-
I don't know
Dude, she
too
was
much about
she was
her.
a sexual.
No, I know, but where'd she grow up? Like,
She probably on the streets of New York
I
City.
think she was like a runaway and all
Yeah.
kinds of other
She probably
stuff.
abused her whole life.
Yeah.
Just the.
Yeah, she wound up marrying her manager, and she left a suicide note or something, went out in the woods and shot herself, but she put a
Bag
like
over
a
her
bag
head.
over her head 'cause she didn't want him to see.
Find her that way.
Yeah,
Oh, at least she thought of that.
yeah,
Considerate enough.
Yeah. Wow, what a crazy story.
But her
Yeah.
band was called the Plasmatics.
yeah.
But Wendy O. I mean, they stopped. They never came out with anybody like her after that. I mean, she just.
I know she gets a lot of recognition through over the years.
Well, I think people like Courtney Love,
Yeah.
other women definitely look up to her.
Yeah, I'm sure L7, they love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just for everything she stood for, just women rights. I mean, even somebody like Melissa Etheridge can get behind her. Or even the Indigo Girls, or she was an activist.
Did she play Lil Fair?
She
No,
could
no,
have. She was
no.
an activist.
She was in an episode of MacGyver as an act. She was an actress.
Did she blow up? Did she blow herself
I
up?
didn't
She
watch
blew
it, but-
MacGyver.
But yeah, no, she definitely was an activist.
She
And
was
maybe
in-
she was a little bit before her time. She was to the extreme.
She
Yeah,
was-
definitely.
She sounded like a real pissed off person.
She was in this. She was in this porno that I seen online.
For research purposes.
For
of
research-
course,
No, but
yeah.
it was on YouTube. It was part of a documentary, and it was her being a host on the Gong Show. So it was like the sexual thing going on, and she was like gonging the sexual act, and it was really disturbing.
This sounds like a snuff film. This sounds like something that would
Right.
be like real gritty.
It
and, like-
was. It was the
like-
70s. It was
Yeah.
like really, really fucked up. But, Wendy O, the princess of punk rock.
All right, so I think next up we've got the absolute top of shock rock, Gwar, and then we've got kind of the newer artists. So why don't we take a commercial break? It's probably best that we reset before we talk about Gwar, since they're so
Yes.
over the top
I
anyway.
want to lay down some fresh tarp. Because
Yeah.
the blood's going to start
We're all
flowing.
going to come back in white.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
All right.
cool. We'll take a commercial break. We'll be back in a couple moments.
Stick around.
This episode of the Prisoners of Rock and Roll is brought to you by McCusker's Tavern, located at 17th and Shunk Streets in South Philadelphia. McCusker's Tavern has been in business for more than 50 years, making it the oldest bar west of Broad Street and a city known for its neighborhood watering holes. Minutes from the sports stadium, McCusker's is a great place to stop in for a few beers before or after a game or a concert. There's a reason why everyone from Philadelphia Magazine to Playboy have ranked it as one of the best dive bars in the city. Music is such an important part of McCusker's Tavern that we're actually recording this episode from there right now. They're currently closed due to the pandemic, but miss everyone and hope to see them soon. In the meantime, check them out on Facebook. That's McCusker's Tavern. All right, we're back from the commercial break. Thanks so much for hanging in there with us. Now that you have gotten another drink, you've gone to the bathroom, we're going to talk about Gwar.
Gwar!
A band that is just deserving of their own category.
What are their stories? They're aliens?
Yeah, did you look that up what their backstory is?
Yeah.
All right, lay it on us.
No, go ahead. Do you know it?
I used to know it. Like I know, like let me see. Like I know they're aliens and they're disgusted by the human race, and they come down to take over Earth because it's like
They're
dying out or something like
They're
that.
the scumdogs of the universe.
Yeah.
That's one of their albums' names. Scumdogs of the Universe.
Yeah, they're banished for being intergalactic fuck-ups, and they crash underneath the ice of Antarctica, and then they have sex with monkeys, and they create human beings.
When's Disney going to make this movie? It sounds like Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
They are the most legendary, obscure band. Like, if you want to find out if somebody's really is a heavy metal nerd or not, you ask them if they listen to Gwar.
Yeah. I think Ryan and myself discovered Gwar like when we were in high school. And it was just absurd. It was just absurd just to listen to it.
Have
And
you guys
it was
ever- have you guys seen them?
Yeah, I saw them
Oh,
twice.
yeah.
I've seen them twice.
They're very awesome.
Like people go to that show just dressed all in white, and they want to like
For
get
the-
spit on and blood on. The guy has a huge penis, and then he shoots out like all these different colors out of it, and it's really you want to talk about offensive. They like one of the biggest compliments ever is to go to a Gwar show and get killed. Like who wants to die?
So I guess we probably should try to explain them. So they wear these ridiculously ornate costumes of they're like movie quality,
Like styrofoam.
yeah, like big shoulder pads and horns, and they all have. I have a list of the members of the band. So you had Odorous Arungus, Ballsack, the Jaws of Death, Flatus Maximus, Beefcake the Mighty, Jizmac the Gusher, and Sleazy P. Martini. Who's their manager? He's not in the band.
Yeah, he's like the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
With the hair.
Oh, he's just the manager. Like,
And the characters never change, but the people who play
Play
them
them,
do.
yeah.
Right. So it's like it's completely over the top.
Let's play a Gwar song.
All right.
Yeah, I put Slaughterama on there.
nice.
All right, let's
I remember
do
that
it.
one.
With a battle cry go forth, which is give the people what they want. And what the people want could only be the senseless slaughter of the gutter slime that litters this nation for cash and prizes. Yes, this is the show where people bet their lives to win something big. Cause when you like this shit, then you haven't got much to lose on Slaughterama. This next geek is guilty of the following: a grateful bad life, in which is been wallowing. Tried to tell us, give peace a chance. Met the national guard and you shit in your pants. It's not your imagination, it's not a pet.
That is the most important song on the whole playlist. I'm so happy you put that on there.
Yeah, man, that was a fun. I remember
That's-
hearing that as a kid.
Yeah,
Say, hey, Mr. Hippie, you got some shit between your toes.
So, and I guess, yeah, like you mentioned the executions. So they make these like mannequins or characters of like celebrities.
Big puppets.
The
Yeah.
thing is, like, nobody is safe from Gwar.
Yeah.
Like, they kill everybody.
Yeah, they've killed.
Presidents and
You name it. The Queen, everybody.
from like murder victims and like really like bad like
Right.
jokes, like
Like,
bad
really
jokes about
bad.
serial killer, about people getting killed.
And the executions are always like over the top, like they behead somebody and like it's blood spurting everywhere. And the people that they execute, like the characters they make are little. They're very cartoonish too.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk offensive? The one time I seen them was maybe like 6 months after Princess Diana died. and they cut off her fucking head in the show, and there's blood going everywhere. It's really
Now
really
that-
bad taste.
Now that's entertainment.
No, it like Ryan said, there's nobody safe from Gwar.
Can I read some of their album titles off?
Yes,
please.
please.
Scumbags of the Universe.
I feel like we should have some like proper British music playing behind. Like,
Bloody Pit of Horror, Lust in Space, Beyond Hell, War Party, This Toilet Earth, We Kill Everything, Fuck This Planet, the acoustic album. They are fucking great, dude.
There
I
was
mean,
like, you know, like you said, like, you know, like the members changed in the band or everything like that. Like back in like the 90s when this band like surfaced, when there was like a rumor that this is before the internet and all that there was 2 different Gwar bands. And because they really are a business, they have like a compound where they make all their albums, their costumes, their props, and everything like that. So one Gwar band would tour the East Coast, and the other one would tour the West Coast. So nobody would really know because
you don't
there's
know because they're all in the
yeah,
costumes.
yeah.
and you're just happy that Gwar's there. You're not going to question. That's not Optimus.
Yeah.
He passed away a couple years ago. Now they
Yeah.
have this new lead singer.
Yeah.
He is like this huge motorcycle looking dude, and he's got like this deer head thing looking on him, and below him he's got like 4 dildos. Like otters, like they're like otters, but they're like 4 dildos.
So he's not playing the Animus character then?
No, he has his
They
own
retired
character.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
when he-
retired the Odorous Orungus
They actually
character.
burned it.
Yeah, they did a Viking funeral for it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he
there's
died of a
footage out
heroin
there.
overdose.
Because, they would do, and I think they still do it. They do
The Gwar stock.
Yeah, Gwar stock, kind of like the ICP thing, you know, and they did it there. And I seen footage of it. Like, it looks like a good time to me.
Looks like a lot of meth going on.
And they're
It's
another
just like an
band.
ICP, that ICP thing.
They've gotten arrested a couple times, and they've
Not hard to
gotten
believe.
banned, and they've always like fought back. They've sued, and the ACLU has actually had their back. And a couple times they've actually won the case, or they've settled out of court, and they always donate the money to charity.
Oh well.
So thought it was kind of interesting. Like, yeah, dude, they're getting pressure from the squares, and they're being like,
Well,
no.
they can play that card. This is our artistic vision.
But you know what, though? It's like you have to be it's like you're not a dumb person coming up with something like
No,
that.
not at all.
You kind of got to be intelligent to come up with something like Gwar.
Yeah.
You know, from what I know, like I know Gwar, people, my friends that like Gwar, they're pretty intelligent people.
Yeah. Because it, like, just listen to that last song, like there's comedy in it, like it's smart, like, you know,
It's smart.
But you go to a show, man, it's scary. It's a scary pit. It's a scary scene.
looking.
Yeah,
We seen them on Halloween one time, and I was at the Electric Factory and sat on
The upstairs bar.
The
yeah.
upstairs, and I was like, "Fuck that!"
Yeah.
I ain't going down there.
You said like about them being like pretty intelligent. Like they do goofy shit. Like you can see videos of him reading like Goodnight Moon. You know, like
Yeah.
they get it, man.
Yeah.
Where they are.
Yeah,
And they're another band who came out with comic books, like everything. They promote themselves. I don't know if they ever made action figures. I'm sure they did. They put their face on everything they thought they could, but they definitely marketed themselves great.
Yeah,
They were like in movies. They were like in that. What was that movie from the age of the record store?
Empire Records.
Yeah, they were in Empire Records. You know, everybody knew who Gwar was.
Yeah, they're being satirical. Like they're poking fun of everything.
Yeah.
and they're taking it to another level.
they kind of just like poke fun of what fucked up about the Earth, like what's fucked up about
Yeah.
politics, what's fucked up about crime.
Yeah.
You know, money hungry things. And
I made a list of some of the people that they've executed. Like I have OJ, Paris Hilton, Michael Jackson, Lady Gaga, Hitler, Snooki, Justin Bieber, and Donald Trump.
Sounds about right.
So they're all over the place, man.
Yeah.
Nobody, like Ryan said, there's nobody safe.
nobody is safe from the
they're,
Gwar.
they're ragging on the system and everything else.
And they've been doing it for
30
years,
30
man.
years.
For years.
Right. Probably longer than 30 years.
I guess Gwar is like a household name. I guess so. There's a.
Did you eat your Gwar cereal this morning?
I think there was an actual song like that or something like that. But down in Richmond, Virginia, I have the shirt on. It's called the Gwar Bar. So the whole bar, it looks like a normal place, but it's all like
Until you go in.
until you go in, and it's like this little downtown area that's kind of like Leave It to Beaverish kind of thing. But like they have like paintings of them in there and everything like that. And as from what, yeah, but it's like all them like on stage.
like a velvet painting.
Yeah,
or
I don't think they had any props in there or anything like that. But like during the pandemic, they tried to get through it like everybody else. And they had their outside seating, so they called the Gwar, and I just thought that was just absolutely hilarious. But I don't think there's any affiliation with the band in that place. I think it was just
A fan.
I think it's great that somebody opened up a Gwar bar, and it's.
I thought they owned part of it. I thought I saw that on their website. I might be wrong.
I don't know.
I'm sure that
I was just blown away when I heard.
Yeah,
it.
but you think it's trademark, like the name Gwar is trademark.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess yeah.
So they probably have something to do with it.
So the Gwar bar, the guy that plays Ballsack, the Jaws of Death, was in the restaurant industry for 30 years.
Okay.
And so the Gwar bar is theirs.
Okay.
I'm actually looking at their menu. They have poutine, the Canadian disco fries, tater tots, chips and vegan chips and salsa, buffalo and beer mac and cheese. Oh, beef stroganoff, build your own mac and cheese, vegan Ragnaroks, chicken McDucket. It's
sounds
very
like a normal place.
Kind of like a gastropubby kind of place. Other than like here's Satan's balls. Other than some funny stuff. It's pretty, okay.
Hey, it's a gimmick,
Right, shit. If Kiss can do it, why can't they?
And Kiss don't have no bar.
Right.
You know who actually had a bar? Alice Cooper had a bar called Cooper's Town.
Yes, and when you walk in, instead of saying "Welcome to my nightmare," it says "Welcome to my restaurant."
Yeah. So I was in Cleveland like years ago, and I was going to South Dakota, which you're going to go to soon.
Yeah.
And we're driving out there, so it was right across from where the Indians play in Cleveland. And I was just walking, and like I didn't know. I was sitting there for a half hour, didn't know it was Alice Cooper's bar. And you see all this stuff, and it's called Cooper's Town. And I go outside, smoke a cigarette, and there's a picture. I'm like, "Hey man, is this Alice Cooper's bar?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You guys got any T-shirts?" Like it was a really neat place. And me and Ryan went to Cleveland a few years ago to see Metallica, and I was seeing if that bar was still open, and it wasn't.
I think there's another one in like Arizona. I think
you're
he
right.
lives in
Yeah.
Arizona now.
Yeah.
So
To be in shock rock, you must own a bar.
is that it for Gwar? I feel like we're saying goodbye to them.
We're not saying
it's
goodbye.
just- yeah.
We're not saying goodbye to them. Maybe they'll come up in another show sometime.
Maybe the one we do on like wedding songs or something. It'll come
Yes.
up. So,
But
all
Gwar's
right.
great if you ever need a good laugh.
Yeah,
Watch
they're
it.
they're in a genre all by themselves in this.
And if you ever go see them live, don't wear white.
Yeah,
Because you'll come out look like a tampon.
And don't sit too close to the stage.
yeah.
Wear like old shoes.
Definitely.
All right, so now we're up to the later generation. So, and I kind of grouped everything else from like the 90s on, and I've got a handful of bands that I guess we can talk about in any particular order, but I guess maybe the first one, since they're the first one of my notes here, is Rob Zombie a White Zombie. I love White Zombie.
Yeah,
So
they're
do
a
I.
great
I
band.
think they're great. Me and Ryan were talking about White Zombie during the research for the show. I don't know if I really consider them a shock rock band. I just consider them a heavy 90s band.
I'd see them as a shock rock. I see them. They were definitely had a gimmick, and it was a monster kind of.
Yeah, their live shows are pretty over the top with
Yeah.
the
They're like
with the
Alice
shtick.
Cooper.
And I feel like he is gone. When he went solo, he got like more like the shtick.
Yeah.
And we don't have any of his music on.
I didn't put any music on
No.
there. No,
Is Dracula his song, or is that like
it's his song.
Yeah,
Maybe Thunder Kiss 65.
yeah, that's our big one.
Well, we a little sister's hotel, cheating on a halo, rising out of the Holocaust, the house, kick out the Mario, and break down agony after the ecstasy ain't overcame. We're riding on the well, throwing up to stand,
Man, I
just think they're
love
great.
White Zombie. They're one of my favorite bands from the 90s.
Yeah, I agree. They get you pumped up. Like, I guess maybe like some frat boy meathead shit with some listeners would listen to it, but it's something that everybody bought into,
He had Alice Cooper stage stuff But if Alice Cooper had like modern technology and a lot of money from the 70s, but he still has the same kind of like,
He definitely puts out like that retro.
that
kind of
schlocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sat through his movies and all that, you know.
Yeah, and he's really, really into like old horror movies. You know, he made all those like the Halloween.
Yeah,
and,
they're great, and they're
movies.
great. They're great. The Halloween's great.
The
House of a Thousand Corpses and all.
Yes.
I don't like
they're
horror
great
movies, so
movies. You never watched them?
no, I don't like horror movies.
What?
I don't.
What? They're two great films, 100,000 Corpse and Rejects. The Devil's
Rejects.
Yeah, he's kind of like where like comic books and like schlocky B horror movies come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about like these bands and everything like that. Like we did mention, like some of these guys aren't like the greatest musicians ever, and like we kind of talked about it. I forget what her name is for the bass player for
Sean Yassault.
and she's great. Like we were watching a video, and I'm like, she is spot on. But is she a great bass player? No.
She's
Is she great
stylist.
bass?
No, she has style.
For that band?
For that band, yeah, because he wrote everything.
He didn't need her. That's why she's not
Yeah.
around anymore.
Well, she
But,
was.
like,
Yeah, she was
would tune
dating-
down like below D, and you watch her, and she's not even. She's just hitting that open E string, whatever it's tuned to. Now, I asked Ryan this, like, why would he ever get the bet together with White Zombie again? I'm
he
like,
doesn't need to.
you said that. I think people would jump on board with that.
Yeah, but
I,
it's not
I would
like-
love it. I'd be all over it.
Yeah, he still plays all those songs by himself. I mean, it's not like he needs those dudes.
Yeah, but just to get those guys together would be
I
great.
couldn't tell you who those other guys were. It's not like it was like Johnny Five in the band.
I gotcha.
So-
yeah.
So what his motivation though? So we talked a little bit about like, Gigi Allen just mentally ill, and I think his thing is like he's just really into horror movies and just trying to like artistically push the envelope. Right? Like I don't think he's trying to be offensive for being offensive. I think he's just into that, and I think he embraces that cheesiness
I
of
don't
it.
think he's being offensive.
I don't think he is either.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to be a horror movie, not like a slasher movie, just like a horror movie.
Like painting a picture. With
Yeah,
music,
like you ever look at you take any of his albums and you open up the liner notes, there's all like cartoony kind of like like he draws all that all that stuff. So he's a really, really talented dude.
Yeah, I
think he just loves that B-level horror goofy schlock. Because even his movies, I said I've never seen them because I don't like that kind of shit, but I've always heard it's like it's over the top, it's gratuitous, but that's like kind of how those movies were.
You should watch those movies. It's really how it's done. Like it's retro.
At least
like,
watch the Halloween, dude. For real.
Because it is like retro looking.
Yeah,
like everything's posed like pop culture.
Yeah.
you get it really fast. So everything's like
I won't,
throwback.
but okay.
No, but everything's like throwback.
Yeah. But it's like, but do I consider them a shock band? No, but I could see where you guys come from with it all.
Okay.
They just like created made that style popular, and I'm kind of curious to ask people who really listen to his music and who love shock rock like these heavier bands. White Zombie might be a pop band to them, and they might not.
They're
like,
one of the better bands.
Yeah, they might be a pop band. Like, oh, they're not.
But he's also one of
Hardcore,
the last
you know?
ones standing with that, like
Yeah,
that
because he's that good.
I mean, you got into the 90s and music got so fucking serious. Right? Like grunge was all the glam, the makeup, all that crap. You got rid of it all, and everyone's wearing flannel and they're staring at their shoes. And then this dude comes in and he's got that really, really early stuff.
Dreads
There's
and the
many
cowboy hat.
He's got the dreads and he's singing that about like 1960. Hell, it's just in Beavis and Butthead were celebrating it and they're making fun of it a little bit too.
Yeah.
But Beavis and Butthead is what got them.
But
Like
the
they
thing
blew
is,
up
like,
because of that.
White Zombie, they're kind of making fun of themselves, though. You know what I mean? It's
they're-
so
they're-
over
yeah.
the top. It's so
they're-
over the top.
they're embracing it.
Yeah.
And kind of, dude, it's not serious. Like, the creature from the Black Lagoon is goofy, but,
But like with saying all that, like you definitely have the culture of like grunge, okay, like the flannels and everything like that. But those guys, they were dressing a certain way, like with the shorts with the stockings on it, and like the what the boots called, the
Doc Martens.
Doc Martens and this and that. You would see people start dressing like that. So I think it had an impact on like young culture in the 90s for people to start dressing
for
like
the
that
Manson
way.
fans.
Yeah. But that was like a lot more hipper than the Manson fans. It had some kind of like fashion behind it.
He
you know?
to me looked like Al Jurgensen from Ministry. Like I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
really into
Yeah.
Ministry.
Yeah.
He was like the cowboy Ministry.
yeah.
Like I remember working in the record store. I was 93 and I started working in a record store, and Astro Creep 2000 came out. And we had this big, it was like a 6 foot wide. It was a blank CD cover, and you would get the artwork and you would slide it in. And we had of that. And I remember just staring at it, being like, God damn, I want to take that home and put it on my wall.
Yeah.
Cause he kind of like, he's on the album cover and he's kind of like slinking forward, and he's got the cowboy hat and the goatee and the big leather jacket. And I was like, man, these guys are cool.
Yeah, they're
super
cool.
Super cool. And I think that his music will be around for a very long time. It's always going to be relevant. You're always going to hear it pop up in a
movie.
or I don't know about a commercial yet. We'll see.
No, Dracula was in a
Oh, was it?
commercial.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
Well, that's a great. That's like hot rods and schlocky B
Hot
stuff.
rod, yeah,
Living
tattoos,
Dead Girl.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
yeah,
man.
like that pinup kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
that
rockabilly.
rockabilly.
Yeah.
You know.
They might, out of all these bands we're talking about tonight, they might be my favorite.
Yeah, they're a
No,
great band.
definitely.
All right, so we'll talk about Marilyn Manson next.
Manson.
Is he the top of the mountain for shock rock, Manson?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Of our time, I would say yes.
So my first note is he's the first shock rock artist that was mainstream in my lifetime.
yeah, I would definitely
Right,
agree
because
with that.
Kiss was before
Yeah.
us. All the
Yeah.
the first one that
Like Manson definitely pushed the envelope more than Rob Zombie did.
Manson was definitely trying to trip people out. Like Zombie was just making music.
Exactly, I agree.
But Manson was like, I'm gonna
Scare the shit out of you. Yeah,
and I'm gonna turn your kids on you.
yeah. No, you're absolutely 100% right.
You know?
So Alice Cooper called him the Alice Cooper of the 1990s.
I think he's a little
think
bit
he's-
more than that.
Yeah.
I think he's smarter than that.
Who Alice Cooper or Marilyn Manson?
Marilyn
Manson's
Manson.
he's very intelligent.
Was Alice Cooper being kind of like he's doing what I did kind of thing, or he's giving him like he is now what I was.
I think in terms of like garnering attention. So like
Term endearment is what I mean. you
Again,
know.
we're rolling into the 90s and everything is serious,
Yeah.
right? There's you got a couple like bands that aren't. I'm thinking like Three Little Pigs by like Green Jello,
Nice.
right? Like, you got
Shock rock
these
band.
little nuggets of like some
Yeah.
funny, but largely rock and roll gets really, really serious. And you got this dude coming in, and he's playing the gender, religion, like he's throwing it all in your face. And there's not a lot of people doing that. Like even Rob Zombie is like, he's in a really small lane, right?
Yeah.
He's doing horror stuff. Manson is doing all this other shit that we've been talking about like he's trying to be provocative.
Yeah.
I think that he's serious about it. I know I listened to a lot of his music and everything. I never thought any of it was a joke. I remember the first time I saw the Sweet Dreams video. It was like fucking 2:00 in the morning on Headbangers Ball or 1:00, and it literally, I was a teenager. It scared me to death because I'd never seen anything like that in my life.
That's like one of the worst covers ever.
I like it. I still like it. I like it a lot.
I can't stand it. I love the original.
How about Tainted Love? Did you like that one?
It's all right.
I didn't like the cover Sweet Dreams because he starts like overdoing it and the voice. Like, yeah.
But that was a gimmick, you know. That you know.
It definitely scared the shit out of me, but the original Rhythmics thing is so creepy
By
in
itself,
a way,
yeah.
in a dry way.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. It's a perfect song for him. You know.
So he's, out of everybody we talked to, he's the one person like I can kind of like put in a little box that like I've been alive for his whole career.
Yeah.
So like when he came out, I always thought that he kind of spun out of the 9 Inch Nails era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a weird relationship with Trent
Trent
Reznor.
Reznor,
Like,
yeah.
there's a song Starfucker about, like, and I always thought him as kind of a second-rate person who was just trying to be really offensive.
Oh yeah, I think he's trying to be as offensive as he can
And
get.
as a high school kid, I was like, I don't get it. And as I've gotten old, like, we lived through all of the rumors about him. So like, we heard the rumors that he, tell me if you've heard any of these. He was the guy from
The Wonder
The
Years.
Wonder Years.
Yeah.
he would have trash bags full of cocaine and he would throw it out to the fans.
He couldn't afford it.
He
He
had-
did grow up in Florida, so he might have got it cheap.
He had
So-
his ribs removed so
I
he
heard
could
that
suck his
one.
own
I
dick.
heard that one.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is like, come on.
But they said this about so many. They're like, he's such an
That's
outlandish
Right.
character.
But I didn't.
You know,
That's how these
But when
things
you heard
start.
that,
Yeah.
there was no social media, so you heard it
Yeah.
through like Rolling Stone,
or you just read her
or
in the mall,
or
you know?
right rumor. Like, where did that shit come from? And
He probably,
He probably
did it
started it,
himself.
yeah.
He's an egomaniac.
He is.
But a lot of this, man, is also a citation on like the media, you know. And I don't want to get all political.
No,
but
no,
it's like,
no, absolutely.
you
That's
know,
part of his game.
The story, and he was masterful of that.
He played him like he played him like an instrument, man. He used the news, the
media.
the media,
Absolutely,
to
man.
like promote his own albums.
Because when he would come out and he like, you know, notes of like offensive shit he did, he would tear up the Bible on every episode, you know, every show. And then he would wipe his ass with the American flag.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to get, you know.
You know, with that being said, like they had that, you know, the Bowling for Columbine, like he was blamed for Columbine.
Totally.
And they had that Bowling for Columbine movie or documentary, whatever you want to call it. And they interviewed so many people for that thing. Then they interview him. He's the smartest guy that they interviewed in that whole documentary.
Do you have what he said?
No, I don't. But I've seen it in many.
What did he say?
So and to me, this is where my opinion of him changed because everybody blamed him for that. Because right, so Columbine was the first like school shooting, right? I was trying to explain this to my kids, like that was the first meeting, and everybody blamed him.
Yeah, like before you even read this, my attitude changed about him also when I saw.
Let
him.
me hear what he said.
Yeah.
So everybody blamed him for Columbine, and somebody said like, "Dude, if you could see the kids from Columbine, what would you say to them?" And he's like, "I wouldn't say anything to them. I would listen to what they have to say."
Exactly.
Because nobody has done that. And that is why we're here. Nobody listened to these angry kids.
Yeah.
And then I totally remember this, man. He wrote this long op-ed in Rolling Stone. Like it was a couple weeks after Columbine about like, don't blame me for this.
Yeah.
Look at yourselves in society and all. And it was like, dude, it was really poignant. And the fact that like, you know, we're 30 years now into school shootings. And he was pretty on point. And I was like, all right, I have more respect for him.
He kind of went away after Columbine. Like he was still around, but it was like he took the back seat. He was like, I'm going to tone it down for a little while.
So
You had to after that.
And I'm sorry.
But like you had to after that. Like that was such a like. Unfortunately, you know, I think the country's got a little bit more accustomed to it.
Yeah,
like
because
don't
there's a
accepting
fucking
it.
shooting every week.
Yeah, but like when that happened, like we were out of school for what 5 years after, like before that happened or something like that. That was unthinkable. Like something like that happening when we were all in school
Now it's happening every day.
every day.
And,
You know,
and I watched an interview with Daisy Berkowitz. So the shtick with Manson is that everybody in the band, their first name is a model and the last name is a serial killer. I watched this interview with Daisy Berkowitz, and he was really critical of Marilyn Manson after Columbine. He was like, dude, this guy is all about being this paragon of the anti-establishment. But then when everybody started pointing the finger at him about kids getting killed, he crumbled. And they were like, he's supposed to be this rock and roll antichrist, and he's whining about the media. He should have been like, hey, man, look how much people listen to me if they listen to my music. Like, and he was being an asshole.
That guy's an asshole.
Right.
It's like imagine somebody blaming like at that time the worst thing that happened to children or a school, and everybody's pointing a finger at you. It's easy to look in through the window like, oh well, you're preaching this and preaching that. Let's see, wait for you to get blamed for it and see what you do.
Not for nothing. He set himself up.
I don't disagree with that.
He set himself
played a
up.
character
he
so
went,
hard.
He's like, I'm going to push these motherfuckers so far into it. And look what happened. These kids took it the wrong way.
I mean, you remember like the MTV Music Awards? He was wearing like fishnet stockings,
Yeah, it was
and
ass out.
and they had the Manson. It was like the lightning bolt, which
Yeah,
is like
it was
two
like a Nazi thing.
right? 2 lightning bolts is the SS, and he had the flags. It was like the lightning bolt in red with the red circle around the flag.
Yeah.
But then it was like people started dying. Right? And then it was like shit got real, and suddenly it's not funny and provocative anymore.
But it's like he got blamed for it and everything like that. Like he's an artist. He's out there playing a character. Again, he probably took the character a little too far. He did push the envelope. But are you supposed to be responsible for people who don't live in reality?
No, but you know, but also like I don't think this way, but they blame the video games.
They blame the Matrix.
They blame the Matrix. Even the Basketball Diaries.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the Basketball
That's true.
Diaries when
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio walks into school with all the black on, with the black trench coat, and starts blowing away his teachers.
Or
true.
even like the satanic panic of, oh shit, this is telling me to worship Satan and kill somebody, right? We
Yeah.
talked last week about, one of the Slayer song that a bunch of dirtbags killed some girl and blamed it on the Slayer music.
Yeah.
But I guess, again, Manson he rose up for a moment and he was like, dude, don't look for the scapegoat, man.
Yeah.
Look at yourself.
No, I agree with that.
Like, kind of like everything I'm being critical of has now come to fruition. And now shit's really serious. Look at yourself. And then he kind of backed off because
There's no
weight of
winning.
him.
There's no winning.
Yeah.
When he put his point across and then he backed off, he's like, you look at yourself. If you think I have so much influence over your children, you're not doing your right as a parent.
Yeah.
But after he took that break and everything like that, he changed his whole persona around. And I think that's like the album was like, I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me.
Yeah. Animal Machine or what? Like he got more like
He
Is that the
became
one
like
he's-
a mannequin. He kind of looked like a mannequin.
androgynous.
Yeah. So he really did change his persona after that to another extreme, in my
The
opinion.
Antichrist Superstar? No, the one after that.
Yeah. Mechanical Animals, you're right.
And that's all right.
That's such a Bowie ripoff.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Right.
But
So
at the same
he's-
time, but that's sure he did. He ripped off Bowie.
he becomes this kind of androgynous character. I never even thought of this before, that his image kind of shifts and he starts
Yeah.
pushing the envelope in another direction because he's like, I'm not going that way anymore.
But
No,
he's
he took like an art direct to it.
like an approach to
Yeah.
it. But dude, he's kind of a crazy person. Like, you know what I mean? Another guy who got like himself and the character mixed up with himself. Like he joined like the cult, like the
Satanist
the
club.
Satanist cult in California,
that's
like the black whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. But there's pictures of him with him. Like he's a fucked up dude. He does
Dude, that's a great fucking point where like the character and the real person start melding together.
Yeah,
like,
like Alice Cooper, you know?
Right.
But it's just like, dude, like I know a lot of stories about him that happened, and like he's in the news for this and that. He is not a very nice person.
Yeah,
He's
got-
a drug addict.
And
you know?
he's gotten wrapped up like I don't want to say wrapped up. He's been accused of a lot of things in the Me Too
he's
movement,
he
being
went
a
Rose
not a
McGowan. He
Yeah.
beat the shit out of her.
Yeah, not a nice guy.
Yeah.
He
When I heard that, I was like, "No shit, Sherlock."
I said the
don't
same
think
thing.
he's-
I did too.
I said the
Yeah, I
same
was like,
thing.
I never thought he
Yeah.
was a nice guy.
but he definitely does not have a hold on the reality. He's a fucking
He's his
crazy
own reality. He
exactly.
he thinks he's God. In
He's
his
been
own
famous
way.
longer than he's not famous. You know?
Man, you guys are fucking really on point tonight. He's provocative in an intellectual level or an artistic level. Like he's not. I'm going to talk later about some of these bands that are just trying to be offensive to the point of being offensive. He's not that. He's definitely trying to push the envelope from an artistic and intellectual standpoint. But you're right. He's also not a good dude.
No, he might
Not
be
a
the
fan.
shitbag of the week.
Yeah, he's a shitty person.
I think he just evolved. I don't think he ever, like Ryan said, I don't think he ever was a nice person. I think he might, like, he came from a really bad, like background. Like,
His mother was totally mental illness.
yeah, his grandfather's had mental illness that he lived with, and
his father was a
Yeah.
little screwy.
like he came out with that book in the 90s. I didn't even like Marilyn Manson. I
Yeah.
read that book just to see what makes
Yeah.
him tick.
Oh, I didn't even know he has a book out.
Yeah, it came out in the night. Like,
Yeah,
you
I
guys
read
were
it.
still, you guys were like working in the mall, I
No.
think. But
we might have even
I
sold
read it. I read it, and I said half of this he's lying.
you think so?
Yeah, because he was too young. It was
Yeah.
like there's no way he's a great writer.
He is. He's a great artist.
I wish he would like put comics out.
It would be
Or,
great.
Put
That would
like,
be great.
stuff like that out. His memoirs, I think he was making up some of it.
Yeah, but it was the right time for him to put out the book. Here's another guy who knew how to market himself. Like, dude, how many T-shirts did he sell? You still see T-shirts, like, you know.
And that's such a great point because I'm thinking about his career and I'm like, all right, when he got big, we're in our mid 20s, early 20s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
the high school kids were all like they were
Yeah.
eating him up because I'm like, but that was how we were with the Metallica shirts and the Pantera shirts and everything. That was our
Yeah, we were kind of getting a little
right
too-
behind us.
I remember Ryan calling Mansonites. That's what they
Manson,
were called.
They would take over the mall.
Yeah.
You know, they would have their backpacks and they were like little vamp.
I didn't really start liking Manson until after the Columbine thing. That's when I really started liking him. And I know a lot of his music. I enjoy him. I seen him twice. He puts a hell of a show on.
You know, I really never bought one of Manson's albums. I enjoy his singles that I know of? Yeah. But his new album is fucking great.
Yeah,
I haven't heard
said
any-
that.
yeah.
His
you
new
did say
album
that,
is
yeah.
unbelievable. I didn't put any songs on the playlist.
Is he done? Is he
No.
is he in the trash heap? Is
You
he
know,
like does pop music care?
I think he's come to a different point of his life. This album seems like it's about his father's death. He was very close with his dad, and his dad had this long dying. So it seems like he says it's a concept album. The first half of it is about dying, and the second part of it is about re-life again.
Like
But
reincarnation.
but when I say that, who's listening to him anymore?
I am.
There's a lot of people out there.
Are they? Or like
Yeah,
are kids
there's-
listening?
there's-
Like is he on Sirius?
kids-
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think kids today have any interest in anything like
I
that.
think he has a cult following.
They-
Right,
he
is
does.
he's kind of like
Yeah.
it's moved past him.
Yeah, but he was still like he did a tour with Billy Corgan a few years ago, and like that was fine, like and everything like that. But I think that with all the negative press and everything like that, it's going to be hard for him to crawl out of the hole that he dug himself into from his own actions
I think he can play any theater
and sell it out.
and sell out.
Yeah,
But-
like
but
the Tower,
can
yeah.
he play can he go out and play like a stadium? I was supposed to go see him a couple years ago, and then he had that accident on stage when those lights fell on top.
But here, the one thing is though, I'm amazed he hasn't destroyed himself yet because he has a major substance abuse problem.
Does he?
And he needs major help. And
Yeah, Rose McGowan really
Yeah.
exposed him as
Well,
being
no,
a piece of shit.
some
too.
some other woman who he was engaged to, like the girl was like 18, like he was dating her since he was 17, and they were
my
engaged
God.
or married or something like that. And this isn't that long ago. This is like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. She was like a big actress, like. And he treated her like garbage.
Yeah.
And somebody came out, like, it wasn't Johnny Five, but it was somebody in that circle. Yeah, well, I was over there and I noticed how much that he treated her like shit or everything like that. It's like, dude, then why don't you say something?
Because it's none of his fucking business.
I
But
guess
I feel like
Yeah.
he came out.
But you can
as
come
a-
out now and say it because everybody else
well,
is
now
saying it.
he put his name in the fucking newspaper.
Yeah.
Oh, now that it's out, I could say something.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like my opinion of his music changed, like the Matrix soundtrack. A couple of the songs he came out with, I started like, okay, this is decent music, but
I'm telling you, I never really cared about him until I listened to his new album.
He put some really good stuff out
Yeah.
over the years. Now, do you put him in the same category as like Ministry and all those
I think
Nine
I
Inch Nails
did,
and all
and-
that? Yeah.
I always saw him as kind of like there was some relationship that with Trent Reznor that maybe the couple of guys in Manson were in Trent Reznor's band. And
There was a lot of drugs involved. And
Yeah.
there was a lot
Yeah.
of gay shit going
said,
on.
and they got in a fight, and I don't remember what it is. I don't know why the hell I was so provincial about Trent Reznor, but I just was, he's the afterthought.
Manson would open up for Nails.
Yeah.
And there was part of the show where Manson would come out during the Nails set and act like he's blowing Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been locked up for stage performances and everything like that. You
Yeah.
know?
He's had all kinds of offensive crap
Yeah.
in the,
I think he's the greatest of our time. He's the Charles Manson of,
Well, I don't know Charles Manson.
but like, you know, kind of like in
He's the
the
Alice
Marilyn
Cooper.
Manson.
The
Yeah,
Marilyn
yeah,
Manson.
but you
There's
know,
only
like-
one of them. And everybody copied off of him.
And goth culture came, I think the goth culture that came out of the 90s came out of him.
absolutely.
He brought it back.
Right? It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't the Cure and
Yeah.
Smiths and all those
Yeah,
other
no,
shitty.
no. It was like a whole generation afterwards.
The angry goths.
But it's just so amazing. So many people, like so many kids and people, just identified with this image.
Let's play one of his songs.
yeah. All right.
I think Manson uses the recording studio as an instrument. He's really, really a great artist in the recording studio.
He's a master of, like, he creates this environment in the studio, and it comes out through his music, and he does it so well.
I think just like you said, Trent Reznor taught him so much in the recording studio.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like how to use it as an instrument.
I mean, he's Nine Inch Nails they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they're not really making a lot of music anymore. Marilyn Manson's still around.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
But Nine Inch Nails is just Trent Reznor.
Yes.
It's just
yes,
him.
Yes.
But
With
like,
a bunch of backup
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Session dudes.
And Manson, I'm not sure, like,
Twiggy's still in the band.
is he still in the band?
Yeah.
But, dude, here you go. Marilyn Manson, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yes or no? Would they let him? Probably not.
No.
But do you think his
No.
music
No.
and his effect on
I
culture?
don't think he'll ever get in the Rock and Roll Fame.
I think there's so many people going to blame him for like Columbine and
well,
shit like
and
that.
especially with the negative press that he
There's
just caused
so
himself.
much against them.
Yeah.
But I think his character that he make is against the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, his whole shtick,
Well,
is against anything that's reward of being rock and roll. I think is underneath him.
his calling out society, like the last point I had in my notes that we didn't talk about is there's a song on one of his albums called Get Your Gun. And it's about the murder of Dr. David Gunn, who was an abortion doctor.
I remember
And
this
they
song,
said some abortion rights people killed him in the name of pro-life. And he was like, so you're pro-life and you murdered the abortion doctor.
I remember.
And he was kind of like, what gives with that? You know, he's like, I'm not going to make a conclusion. I'm just going to put the spotlight on it and I'm going to walk away. You know, and again, like he was definitely trying to get you to think.
He's a smart
And,
guy.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
I think a typical Marilyn Manson fan is an intelligent person. I think you kind of have to have that artsy side of your brain working to understand Manson.
You definitely have to have an imagination.
Yeah.
You know?
And you
Yeah.
have to, like, see beyond.
Yeah.
Like, and really see it's just the guy making music.
Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of people have a hard time breaking. I don't know so much now, but like growing up with his music and whatever.
Imagine the death threats he gets. Like, from, like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bible,
Oh, my God.
the Bible thumpers.
Oh my God.
You know, or just
Yeah.
obsessed fans.
Yeah. I would be more scared about the obsessed fans than the Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? I'm sure he has stories.
I wish he would write another book. I'd read it.
Yeah. New one.
Yeah. I think this new album he has out really changed him. And if I'm telling you, it sounds like Bowie.
I'm definitely going to give it a listen.
I
I'll give it
started
a listen
listening to it
tomorrow.
over the weekend. I didn't finish
Can
it.
you humor me and put his new album up and play the second track on it?
Yeah, hang on.
I just see it's a different side of Manson.
I like it.
I've
never heard it. Yeah.
That was like, it was like upbeat. It wasn't as like draggy, like gothy, draggy, industrial.
No, I really think his dad's death changed him a little bit. This, like I said, this is a concept album. There's 10 songs on it. The first 5 is one side, and the second side is a different story.
Does the both sides have like different feels? Like it's like that was like kind of uppy.
Yes.
Is it like
Yes.
darker on one side than the other, or is it like
It's like it's like death is a good thing
gotcha?
kind of thing. It's a beautiful thing. Death's
Gotcha.
a beautiful thing.
Gotcha.
Why don't we make it for listener feedback next week? Why don't we listen to it? And,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Doug and I'll listen to it. And we'll
I'm-
come back and share our
Cool.
thoughts.
I'll be listening to
Yeah.
it.
It definitely had a
Yeah, it's
Bowie.
great.
It had a Bowie sound
The
to
whole
it. It
album
was like
does.
But
there
that's
was-
just the thing. He keeps on evolving into something different. You know,
Yeah.
and that's why I kind of respect him all
That's the
these
name.
years.
That's the name of the game.
I'm with you. Say like change it and try to stay
Yeah,
relevant.
it definitely
you know?
had that like kind of fuzz over his voice. And all right, I'm in, man. Dude, we'll
Yeah.
check it
Yeah.
out. We'll report back in 2 weeks. All right, so I think we're done with him. So the next band I have on my list is Rammstein.
Rammstein.
Rammstein, they were scheduled to play the Link. That's a big place, dude. They were scheduled last summer to play Link, and they're kind of trying to schedule it this year. We'll see what happens. Are they that big of a band?
Yes.
I had no idea that they were a shock band. I know the song.
What? Dugats?
They haven't played Philadelphia since 1997.
Really?
And I was there.
Really?
Or it was at 98. It was 97 or 98. And it was the Family Values Tour. The Korn Family Values Tour is the first one. It had Korn, Limp Bizkit, Ice Cube, and Rammstein on it.
Did they have like all the fire and all
Dude,
that?
it was unbelievable.
The flamethrowers and all that?
Yeah. Rammstein came out and, nobody even heard of them. And they light them on fire. The lead singer singing the whole first song lit on fire.
Yes, I saw videos of that on YouTube. He was like literally on fucking fire.
Yeah. Let's play Rammstein. If you guys don't know who Rammstein is, this is a song called Du hast.
Du hast mich. Du hast mich. Du hast mich. Du hast mich.
I'm just amazed by their relevance. As we're sitting here talking, listening to the song.
But it's like you don't have to know English to know rock and song.
But we're
I guess
Americans.
so.
That shit works the other way. American bands go over to the Beatles go
very
to
true.
Germany and sing in English.
That's true.
Who's another band that sings in a foreign language?
That 99 Red Balloons.
Good point. Very good point.
Touche.
But I know that song. That's pretty much it from what I know of Rammstein. But
They're huge.
I know. That's what I mean. Going back to the stage show, they're going to play at the Lincoln Financial Center. That place is humongous. Like Guns N' Roses and the Stones play there.
Right.
So Rammstein's going to play there?
Yeah,
like how?
Mike,
They
how-
haven't.
And
they
they're going
ha-
to play Giant Stadium.
They haven't toured America in like 20 years.
It's amazing to me. Like
Mike-
I didn't know the relevance was that big still.
the first bullet on my notes say I only knew Du hast, and I never cared about them enough to listen to more than their music. I had no idea they were a shock group.
They're just, dude, they have dildos on stage. Fire comes flying out of the dildos.
See, I didn't know they had dildos. I knew they had fire, but I didn't know they had dildos.
There's a lot of S&M shit going on the stage.
So they had one of their videos. It was banned everywhere, so they released it on a porn site.
Yes.
And it became the number one video on the porn site. I didn't know which one because I don't look at that film. But
But if you want to see it.
yeah, but they two of the guys in the band, they were arrested in 98 and charged with lewd and lascivious behavior. So they would act out like this BDSM stuff on stage where the one dude would wear a leash and the one guy would like pull him over and he'd pull out a fake dildo and pretend to have sex with them, and then he would spray fake semen all over the crowd. And
Sounds
the
like a
stage.
Gwar show. You're
right.
right. You're
and
right.
then he got
yeah.
arrested.
Sure.
And I was like, and I had.
I don't think you can ejaculate on anybody.
And again,
anymore.
well,
You're a
okay,
steak.
this is McCusker, sir.
I got the tarp down.
We're all friends here, but it's like, yeah, I had no idea that that's what this band was about.
I just think they're so fucking bananas. They know how to push buttons, especially in America. I'm sure if you look at their album sales, their last albums probably hit number one all over the world.
So am I the old dude who doesn't know any better? I'm like, oh, cool,
Well, I'm
these,
with you, dude, 'cause
these
I-
German
yeah.
guys. And then these kids are getting sucked in and listening to all, like, is this the marijuana song?
Definitely.
The Gateway.
There's a kid in the bar that would play the shit out of Du hast. It's like, it was like something crossover.
Yeah.
It was like a song that like crossed over maybe people that wouldn't listen to this kind of music before.
But I remember when that song came out, I'm working in the bar, and guys would be talking about Rammstein and this and that, and I'm like, and then this kid starts listening to it, and then, like it starts playing in the bar. I'm like, "Are you playing Rammstein?" He's like, "Yeah, this song's great."
It's
I'm
like,
like,
yeah, it's like 20 years ago.
"Yeah,
dude.
no, it's like, yeah, dude, like you're like he's a young guy, but like I think he just like the whole duats like get all nuts and everything like that." But I don't get it.
So
Like,
I've always been like, okay, that's a cool song. They sing in German. I don't know the word. I don't know what they're singing about. I'm just not interested in going back and listening to them
I've
more.
seen them in concert, and I get it.
See, maybe that's what we're missing.
I've seen them in concert, and I get it.
I
So-
wouldn't mind seeing their stage show live.
We
So
were going to go. We were going.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. My last name's German. I'm going to fuck this up and everybody's going to throw rocks at me. They have a song called Ich tu der Weh.
Good job.
It's probably fucking terrible.
That's great.
Where they were going to have lights in the singer. They were going to put like a light in his mouth.
Okay.
And he decided that having a wire like go up his cheek and in his mouth wasn't enough, so he had a surgical incision made in his mouth to stick the lights through his cheek.
Those Germans are nutty guys.
When I was reading about that was on like every article read about this. That the guy had like this
He has
crap
a hole in his cheek.
with a wire running through it, so he could have these lights. Like so, when he would sing,
that's
it would be back.
dedication.
He's definitely an art. Dude, I didn't know they were so out there.
I mean, I have
Yeah.
a fluorescent light bulb up my ass right now, but that's
Dude, I thought
that's more
Gwar
for
was like
recreational.
one of the most
No.
great. These guys are. I know nothing
Dude,
about
the
them.
Europeans will fucking
Right.
Crazy.
German pornography is like the most vile,
Yeah,
weirdest.
just like Friday night TV is like
Right.
fucking believable.
All right, we good with them? We
Hey man, we may come back.
we're
to
kind of
them.
like
yeah,
okay.
no, I'm kind of dumbfounded to be honest.
Yeah,
with
you got to check them out if you don't know.
Again, one of the coolest things about doing this episode was like I had no idea.
You didn't know how awesome they were.
I didn't know how different they were.
Yes, I think they're awesome.
Well, saying all that they rescheduled for the show for July.
We're going.
We'll see if it happens. These guys are probably like, why can't we put the show on? Like, if they're to that extreme,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is no big deal.
We're gonna have to go to a show or something, like
I'm
the three
going.
of us, and like keep our notes and circle back or something. We have to have,
Dude, you
we have to
guys-
have some sort of experience
I'm
like
going to
that.
be speaking I'm going to probably be speaking German by the time I leave that show.
You're gonna have that moment. You're like, holy shit,
It's like that's-
Rammstein's fucking
That's
awesome.
the Slayer moment.
Das ich dein Scheiße. All right.
All right.
Next band I have, I don't like, is Slipknot.
Slipknot.
You have it written down here, and I had asked Ryan during the last show. It says Slipknot. Really angry dudes. I'm like, is that one of their songs, or is that what just Bruce
Right.
thinks of them? He's like, that's
Right.
what Bruce just thinks of them.
They're not a shock band. They're just like I watched a couple of videos from like interviews with them. They're just really, really fucking angry people.
Dude, and Max Weinberg's kid's in this band, right?
Yeah.
Now he is. He didn't.
He wasn't even- yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Joey Jordison was the first drummer, and he's unbelievable.
So, all right, can we?
Play one of
I
their songs.
just want to kind of get over this. So let's play a little bit of there.
The things I have to take. Jesus never ends. It works its way inside. If the pain goes
I've listened to a lot of the music, dude. I just don't like it.
I like Corey Taylor. I think he's got a good voice. I don't like their music.
I kind of like, try to separate Corey Taylor as a solo artist and to this band. And am I wrong? It's like completely two different things.
Stone Sour is his other band. It's a
Right.
side band. They are a completely different band than Slipknot.
I like Stone Sour.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually played for Stone Sour. I was playing at the Hilton in Cherry Hill, and they were staying there, and I was playing in the bar, playing in the blues band, and they sat and they watched us all night. And I remember seeing Corey Taylor, being like, "Hey, what's up?" and kind of thing. They watched us the whole night.
That's great.
Yeah,
And Corey Taylor was almost in a third band, which we totally missed this point last week. He was almost the lead singer for Anthrax.
was he really?
So I just finished. I mentioned the other day that I was reading Scott Ian's book, and I finished it the other day. And they had a deal in place that he was going to be. So Joey Belladonna was out. The guy from Armored Saint, I forget his name,
Johnny Bush.
John Bush. He was out, and they're kind of wondering. They got to figure out something, and he was like, "I'll do it."
Oh, that'd be great.
And they had the paperwork inside. Like Scott Ian was at the airport going to fly to the studio, and they said that his record label pulled the plug because they said it was like there was some like a series of like another famous artist broke, like, I'm using this example, but like Destiny's Child's album couldn't come out. So then the Slipknot album that was supposed to come out in a year, they needed it sooner.
Gotcha.
So they were
They need a
like,
big seller.
no, you can't go to
Yeah.
Anthrax. Because he was like, dude, I have a year. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
We'll go on tour. And they
Like,
said
no,
they,
your shit's got to be coming
right.
out.
It was like
Yeah.
Roadrunner Records pulled the plug on it, but they said Corey said he had like his bags packed. And it was like,
Can you imagine?
That'd
Dude, that would have been the
fucking
third
awesome.
edition. Like, really, you know how Anthrax changed when John Bush got in?
Yeah.
Imagine what the band would have been
Right.
if he was
he
in that
said
band.
he was like, Scotty Ian was like out having beers with him or something. He was like, man, we're out of a singer. And he's like, fuck it. I'll do it.
Sure.
He's like,
Yeah.
we will bring the house down.
That guy does work a lot. I give him a lot of credit. He works a lot, but he definitely has visions, though. He's definitely
He's a
the
smart dude.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
definitely the brainchild behind Slipknot and all that. You know,
So
Actually, it's Clown.
is it
Clown, yeah. They were a band before he was in the band.
okay?
And they were like this fucking death metal fucking.
And they had the mask on and all that.
and all that shit was going
Going on
on
before he got in the
And
band.
then Corey Taylor didn't come in until like a couple years after the band was already happening.
I went to this metal fest like friggin' I don't know, man, like 15, 16, 17 years ago down on Delaware Avenue. And Gwar was there and this new band called Slipknot. And dude, they just killed it. Like they just killed it.
they're too heavy for me.
Yeah.
I dig their whole gimmick though. They're like each band member has a different number.
Yeah.
But when you put the numbers together, it becomes a barcode.
Yeah.
And that's how they say we're not a band, we're a product, and
Smart.
We're a barcode. So next time you check out them, they each have a different number on their uniform.
And they've said that the masks are more their real faces.
Yeah.
And not their. And the guy Clown, he's the fucking angry dude.
He's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, they said that guy will, before he goes on stage, he will take a dead crow
And he breathed it
and he
in.
huffs it. He cuts it open and he huffs it before he goes on stage.
Wait,
Yeah.
the guy pulls out a dead crow.
He has. It's not like he, in the past, he
He's done
wants
this.
to know what death tastes like. He wants to know everything about death. So he has the bag. He puts his nose up to it and takes a deep breath. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
You sure
I'm
it's not
ready to go
meth?
rock.
You sure it's not meth or
Yeah.
something like
so,
that?
and they call their fans maggots because they're like, well,
Sure.
maggots feed off of things and then they grow wings and I was like,
turn
dude, I'm
into
out,
flies.
man. Dude, I'm 45 years old, man. I don't.
But I get it. If you're like a kid and you don't have anything to believe in, Slipknot is definitely a good group of people that you belong to something.
Yeah.
But it's great marketing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking brilliant.
But they are those kids. They are those misfit
Right.
kids. They're
Yeah.
not pretending.
But remember when they would sell the masks in like Hot Topic and all
Yeah.
that? They would sell
The
the kids.
prison-
Kids would
the
be walking around the
prison
mall with the
suits.
mask. Yeah, dude. I don't dislike
Yeah.
them. I like them. You know?
Yeah, I just their music's too much for me. But that's me.
Dude, like I said before, I sat third row for them and
Well, your
heard
ears
the,
out.
I heard the pings of them hitting like the empty kegs. It's like metal baseball bats on kegs.
When I seen them down on that.
Holy shit,
Yeah, I seen
dude.
them. And it was like that. And I said that, like, this is insane.
Yeah, they were definitely something to see. I don't think I'll ever go see them again, but yeah.
Are they still
Yeah.
doing stuff?
Yeah.
They're still doing stuff? Yeah.
But if Corey Taylor put a book out, I'd read it.
You
would-
said that
I
before.
would too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a smart dude. I find him more interesting than the actual band.
Yeah.
I found him more interesting himself than both his bands.
Well,
to
maybe
be honest.
maybe you probably like Stone Sour. They have
No, I've listened. I have one of their
Yeah.
albums, or I
Yeah.
had like when people used to have CDs. I had one of their albums. Maybe I just think he's a little more interesting than the music that he makes.
All right. So the last band I have a modern era is Ghost.
Ghost.
The idea is good on paper, but the music could be better. It's a
Yeah.
little bit too pop.
Yeah, I thought they'd be a lot more heavier. I saw them open up for Iron Maiden, and then they start playing. I'm like, this sounds like the Killers.
Dude, Ryan's like, dude, we gotta get out of here. I
Let's
can't
go look
listen.
at-
Let's go look at
let's go look at
t-shirts.
the
So you guys have heard them before me. So if you Google the band Ghost, what comes up is these guys in corpse paint. Yeah, the one dude's got like a Pope hat, and the other guys in the band have like robes and these scary masks. And what if you look at them and you think of what you think they're going to sound like, and then you go listen to them? It's totally not the. I had never listened to them because I saw what they look like, and
yeah.
I was like, okay, this is probably not going to be something I'm into.
Yeah.
And then Ryan shared something on the playlist, and I was like, dude, I was really digging it.
Why
But
don't you
it's-
play it?
All right, it's totally not what you would think. you guys are gonna bust my balls. I fucking love that song. Man.
It's kind of hooky. It has a good hook.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
poppy.
it's catchy. I dig the organ. Man, that's an Arthur Brown. You want to circle back to the beginning?
Dude, I saw it when I heard this song earlier this week. I was like, this is almost exactly like that Fire song. Can you play the Fire song again, real
yeah,
fast?
dude. Yeah. All right. So let's circle back real quick.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's the same
That's
fucking
hilarious.
song.
Yeah, dude.
That's hilarious.
Again, I heard it. I went in with expectations like I'm just not going to dig this. I was waiting for something like Slipknot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is poppy as shit.
Well,
Yeah.
going back on, like you said, kind of Pope Hat and all that. That's just what the characters are playing. That they change what they look like all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with them, but I know what the Pope thing was just for this album
Yeah,
and for
so-
this tour, the last tour.
So the singer comes up with a new like there's a new pope every time. The singer plays a character, and each album they come up with a new name and new makeup and all kinds of
Are
other.
there albums like Concept?
Yeah, kind of. He's like he's Papa Emeritus.
Yeah.
If you put a Concept album, I'll listen to it.
and well, concept in that's the overarching like
Visual concept.
Yeah, like I'm Papa Emeritus 1. I'm Papa
Yeah.
Rock and Roll 5.
Gotcha.
Like that kind of shtick. And I was like, all right, dude, I dig it. And it's also really interesting. So the backing band all wear they're called like Nameless Ghoul or something. They all like Nameless Ghoul 1, Nameless Ghoul 2. So they wear robes and they have
Like mask on or something like that. Yeah.
almost like Mardi Gras masks or other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be totally anonymous. And a couple of them got doxxed because at some point, like every other rock and roll band, money got involved. And there was like lawsuits and one dude sued everybody else and they got doxxed. But the rumor has always been some really, really famous people play in this band under these auspices of this anonymity. So like Dave Grohl has always been rumored to be one of the guys. That
He probably
played.
did. I've heard that story also, and I love that idea that anybody can go play with this band because they wear like masks or they hide their faces. Because they're a very talented band. Like you listen to the musicianship in the music, it's really good.
Ryan looks like he's going to shit on him.
They're not that good, dude.
Not even musician wise. I think it's big guitars.
I've seen them in
yeah.
concert.
Yeah, so you said you
their
saw him open
gimmick-
for Maiden, and you were
yeah,
like,
I was
this
like,
is-
what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came, I'm like, dudes from the bar were like, oh, you're going to see Ghost? Dude, they're awesome. Check them out. So we're like, all right, here we go. They come on. I'm like, this band fucking sucks.
Like the thing with them though, they hit a level and they stay there. They don't go up and down. Like a lot of their song, like going and see them, it all stayed at this level.
I don't
and
remember.
it didn't change. It didn't change. And I was saying
So-
like it didn't go anywhere. There was no ride.
I
through their
remember
music.
it being so bad. I was like, let's go look at the t-shirt.
they felt like the Killers to me.
They do sound like the Killers. I mean, but that's like, dude, I'm metal. I fucking love, breathe,
Sure.
love metal. And then when somebody comes up to me and says, this is the new metal that's going on, I was like, man, this new generation of metal is a bunch of pussies.
So is that are they doing that to exploit it to get listener? Like, hey, dude, check us out. And
I think it's easier to get
Right.
metalheads to be like, I'm metal, than it is to go out there and look like the Killers and put songs out like that.
So the bark doesn't meet the bite here.
I don't think so.
That's a really good point.
I think he looks tougher.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I was thinking when I saw them, I think they were going to come out like the Misfits.
Yeah.
Or like come out or maybe like even like King Diamond maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, but
It's pop music, man. It's just
one
pop.
of Stone or Rolling Stone or Kerrang or somebody had an episode, an article like the 50 heaviest lyrics ever, and this song was one of their songs. Maybe not this one was on that list. So I was all like, dude, I was like clenching my butt, waiting to get punched in the face. Like I'm going to hear, Pantera for the first time,
Yeah.
a new level when it just smacks you. And I was like, wait, what? This is like the soaring
I was
organs.
so
and
let down. Like, oh. like the breath came out of me. Like, this sucks.
but then once I took that out, I was like, I really enjoyed the music.
If you would have just showed me this song without any images or anything, I would have been like, all right.
But I probably never would listen to it.
No.
like the ghost hook, the shtick is what got me. Right?
It's hooky. It has a great hook.
I'm only listening to it because it was on the playlist for this show. Because I said I would avoid it because of their
I went through a bunch of songs and looked for a good song to put on our list.
I listened to a bunch of their shit, and I was like, and I largely enjoyed it.
But the thing with them, like, you know, like you're talking about their persona or anything like that. Like, like he said, Rolling Stone put them in the article. I don't find that really hard to believe because they're a radio friendly band. They are, you know, and they're
Very
major
fair point.
marketable. And it's a commercial success. This music is very commercially successful. So of course Rolling Stone is going to put that in the
and
most
it looks
heaviest
great
lyrics.
on a t-shirt. It looks great on a t-shirt.
Yeah, and they come out like with toys, and McFarlane put out like a character of him, like you know. So there's some madness. They know what they're doing. They're making a ton of fucking money.
There's a pop figure out of the Ghost dude.
They're nothing but a pop band.
I like their logo. I like the logo.
Yeah.
Like I said, it looks great on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, I don't know what his name is, but he's awesome looking. He's fucking awesome looking. But then, like you said, the bite does not match
the bark.
He's wimpy. That's why I think he's very wimpy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's not monsterish.
So
maybe that's where the generation's going of music. Like look, bark, like the bark is not as
It's
bad
like
if it's bite.
the generation goes like they're a bunch of pussies, and so's their metal.
somebody came up with this idea, and it's brilliant. Because
It
again,
is brilliant.
it's their image is selling more than their music. Because I knew the image more than I knew the music.
But image is more important to music these days.
Right.
You
We
know
have
what I mean?
like you said before,
Yeah.
like we have a show about music.
Yeah.
And I knew who they were before I knew what they sang.
Yeah, but that's their whole thing. Their image is just as important as their music. That's fact. You know.
All right. So I think we're down to like the odds and ends, the trash bin. Do this first, but all right, let's get out of the way. Bands that just try to be offensive for shock rock value.
Okay.
So I put this, and my notes say, I deserve a Purple Heart for listening to some of this shit. I put in the bin here all those bands, kind of the grindcore, like Cannibal Corpse and Napalm Death and all that kind of crap.
They're great names, though.
I can't see that you enjoy the grindcore. I can't see you enjoy the grindcore. Right. Omar, send us an email.
Cookie Monster Live.
So
I never enjoyed any of this music.
I didn't either,
Yeah.
and I focused on one band, and I'm doing this just to be illustrative to the crap this is. I focused on a band called Anal Cunt.
Dude, I got their album for Christmas.
So, Santa brought that to you.
Yes.
I'm just going to play a couple of their songs. I'm going to name a couple of their songs, and I'm going to play 30 seconds by one of their songs just to be illustrative. So here are 5 songs by them, this amazing band. 1, beating up niggers and selling fake crack.
Can we say that?
It's their song, not mine. I like drugs and child abuse. I sent concentration camp footage to America's Funniest Home Videos. Women are nature's punching bags. Domestic violence is really, really, really funny. So these guys are complete pieces of shit. Right?
Are they a newer band or are they?
No,
like,
they're from the 90s. So they're clearly like, dude, if your name is Anal Cunt, like you're trying too hard. You stink. You know,
they're definitely trying too
all
hard.
right, so here's their cover of "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees.
You can tell them where you are. Woman had no time to talk. Just let them know what to learn. Give and do and I'm a stealer. Do not learn. You get done. You understand. You know your time and build your man. I stealer. Stealer. I stealer. Stealer. I stealer. Stealer. I stealer.
That is absolutely. I know my new closing song when I'm going to kick everybody out of this bar.
We're bringing them up because again, they're just a segment of music that like we're just going to try to be offensive for the sake of being offensive.
God. I'm sure there's money in it.
Dude, you go through Spotify, man. There is, it is littered with all this crap. but I think this band actually put out a couple like CDs. So
Anal cunt.
yeah, and again, like Cannibal Corpse, Napalm Death, like those guys. Like I remember working in the music store and seeing that.
Sure.
crap.
Oh, I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And
yeah.
the artwork was ridiculous,
Totally.
over
Sure.
the top, and
Yeah, I might need a shower
So,
after listening to
yeah.
that one.
yeah. So don't write it. Saying
Yikes.
I didn't write the song title. I just read it. So
Nice.
Right.
I even got a little offended
I
by
know.
some of those song titles.
it's terrible. So,
I'm an open-minded kind of guy.
yeah, I'm not a prude by any means,
Yeah.
but I got a couple that are all right. So we're down to the odds and ends bin, and I'm just going to kind of name a couple bands and maybe we talk about them real quick. Wasp.
Wasp.
Are they a hair band? Or are they a
No.
metal band?
No, they're a band that throws raw meat at their crowd.
I think they cross over like all this kind of stuff.
They have a great song. I put it on there. It's called "Fuck Like a Beast."
I listened to that tonight.
It's not a great song,
No.
but that's one of the names of their song.
Pictures of naked ladies lying on the beds. I'm with the smell of the sweet compulsion. Songs are swelling inside my head. I'm making artificial lovers so free. I'll stop the howling heat.
That band has sold 12 million albums.
No,
They've been around a long time.
They have the one album cover. Their album covers are fucking unbelievable to start out with. They have one. It's like, Where's Waldo? The album cover looks like, and it's just like all these people. Like, oh look, there's Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh, really?
There's like, yeah, it's really odd.
They would do this show with like torture racks with women on it, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy would throw raw meat at the fans, and
Blackie.
he would eat
Blackie
it.
Lawless.
He was actually supposed to be the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
That would have been awesome.
And they said that he wasn't tall enough, so they cast Robert Patrick.
Dude, that
I'm like,
would've
if he
been-
did that and he was in the costume of Wasp,
dude, that would have been.
get to
I'm
the
blown away.
chopper.
I never
I'm here
heard
to
that.
fuck like a beast. You have been terminated. And they came out of that LA
Yeah.
80s
Yeah.
hair scene.
Like I want to say I seen them like they opened up for like fucking Poison or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I didn't know they were a shock rock band.
I think
I knew
if
we
he
wore a
did-
cod piece and all that shit with the spikes coming out
Yeah,
of it, right?
they really pushed the limit on everything.
They were- but
They really pushed the limit
For-
on their
for hair-
videos
yeah,
and
for
hair
hair
bands.
bands.
they
they
were like
were-
on
Yeah.
Headbangers Ball and
Oh,
like
yeah.
all that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do remember them growing up.
They blood coming out of their mouth. Just like,
they did
I
it
was
better than
saying,
Motley Crue back then.
they were just trying to be anything over the top. They stole
Yeah.
off of Motley Crue.
Yeah.
They stole off of Kiss.
Just-
Blackie just stole his gimmick off of everybody.
Just interesting that they're, a band, a hair band that's
Yeah.
pushing the envelope like all these others. The Misfits.
Yes, Glenn.
We didn't talk about them in the punk rock
punk rock
episode too.
one.
Oh, we did it? Not at
No,
all?
we didn't.
Wow.
Are they a shock band? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Jerry Only definitely.
they take the zombie, like the white zombie-ish kind of
They're great.
stuff, right?
They're great.
They were the original monster.
Yeah.
Like
Punk
punk.
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
let-
great.
Yeah.
Let's listen to a little bit of them too.
I put Skull on there.
What a great band. I love that song. That's like a classic rock song to me.
It's like
You know.
rockabilly
Yeah,
kind of. It's
what
like
a great
rockabilly
song.
punk horror
Yeah.
all put together.
Our friend Bert from Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes podcast is a huge dancing fan. So I got to get all this right because I know he listens to our show. I always heard that Glenn's character was supposed to be the zombie of Elvis.
That makes sense.
You know,
I get that, and you
Yeah.
say that.
You
Yeah,
know,
that
like
makes sense.
that's why I heard that because he does has that Elvis kind of
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, he kind of spun out with like Mother, like
Yeah, that was
that
big- yeah.
was kind of where it went.
Which is another thing. We didn't talk about it, but the PMRC. Mother is about Tipper Gore, which I never knew about. It's about like PMRC. It's like Mother. Can you play the song real fast? Now think about Tipper and.
Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say. Mother, Mother, can you keep...
Yeah, song's about Tipper.
I never made that connection.
Yeah, you can hear it. You hear it.
Yeah, I've heard that song 1,000 times. I never made that connection.
So the PMRC is the Parent Music Resource Center, and that was the group that Tipper Gore and Al Gore created to put all the stickers on the albums. And
On the side of, you know who really got behind the PMRC and like funded them was fucking Mike Love from the Beach Boys. Yeah,
What
like
a
he really got
jerk-off.
behind them. He was like,
Why?
yeah.
I never knew that.
get the notebook out, man. We got to move that up in our list.
Yes.
that would be a really interesting
That'd be nice to
episode.
talk about.
The
Yeah.
PMRC files. But
All right.
I got the Misfits, one of the greatest punk rock bands. Glenn made a great solo career on his own. Doug went and saw them at fucking Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
Last
that
run.
last week, that last run of shows they
That
did
was, yeah.
before the pandemic.
They were supposed to be their last show. And then, like, I got a great deal on the tickets. I had great seats. But then they do a show in Philly. Rancid
Yep.
opened up for them.
Yep, Jess and I were going to go to that.
Dude, it was great. But
I didn't
no,
get to
when
go.
they came down here at Dropkick Murphys and everything like that, I'm like, no. I went to the real last show. This is just a money grab. They did the Philly show.
I wish I went.
That man, it was great.
I had to work.
It was a Saturday night, man. It was
I had
a
to
great
work.
show. I got you a poster though.
I had to work both nights.
I got one more band on the list.
I got one more band too.
Go ahead.
There's a band I want to talk about. There's a band called Mayhem. They're from like the Neverlands. They are what you call black metal. They're usually black metal. They make their face white and they color their eyes black, and they really look like ghosts. This band had a lead singer. His name was Death. Now, Death was a happy-go-lucky guy. He blew his brains out in the apartment that he shared with the guitar player. The guitar player comes home and sees this guy's brains all over the couch. There's blood everywhere. You know what he does? He's like, I'll be right back. He goes and buys a camera, like one of those disposable cameras. He goes down, buys a camera, he comes back and starts shooting films. Starts taking pictures of this dead body. To make a long story short, that was their album cover. Was their lead singer.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was, and his brains are like laid on the floor. Like it's you could like look it up. It's
Can you look it up?
Mayhem?
That's my question. Can you look it up?
Oh yeah, you could totally look
really
it up.
good.
Band called Mayhem. So what they did, what was another shocking thing was they took pieces of the lead singer's skull and made necklaces out of them. So they could like make necklaces out of everybody in the band member got a piece of Death's skull.
Literally.
You know. So that's pretty shocking.
It is very
To
shocking.
promote their album, they burned churches down.
It sounds like a bunch of class act guys to me.
Is this the Christmas album they put out?
Yes, this the satanic Christmas album.
I know we're listening to next Christmas.
All right, what do you want to hear from?
From them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything on them.
We don't want to.
There's nothing on the
There's
playlist.
nothing. There's
This is worth a
nothing.
mention.
No, they're just a band that has a legend.
Yeah.
like you know.
There's a band called Mayhem on Spotify. A couple of their songs have 7 million listens.
Okay, let's play it.
I don't know if this is them.
All right. Do we hear it?
So next time you're in the mall, you can go to their shop, the Mayhem shop, and buy jewelry made out of skulls.
So as we're talking, listening to this, and I was going to download it and put it on my Christmas greeting, I found that one guy in the band stabbed another guy to death.
Yes.
So it's a happy. It's all come full circle. We've had a suicide and a murder.
They can all go on the Jerry Springer show,
Right.
with Gwar.
What a wonderful band. So, all right, cool. I think I've got one more band to talk about. So, I have another important band in the odds. Twisted Sister.
Twisted Sister.
Are they a shock band?
No,
They're
glam band.
They're a rockin' band. That's what they are.
I think they're a shocking band.
for the time, but everybody was doing it. Glam was huge. I love Twisted Sister. They're one of my top American rock and roll bands, I think. Yeah, I say no.
Okay.
I don't know. I think definitely push the envelope of not looking normal.
I feel like they deserve being mentioned because they pushed the envelope and then the envelope pushed back with the PRMC.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no.
He's a smart guy.
Right. He's a really smart dude. So he pushed back.
Yeah.
So I think that they deserve being mentioned for that.
No,
And-
Dee Snider is
It's fucking great.
No, he's great.
He's great.
He's a true patriot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm so happy he's from this coast. He's not like from California or anything like that. I love that.
Yeah. A lot of music, like the censorship arguments, he took it back.
Yeah.
He went on the offensive.
But he was brilliant though. How he didn't go in a suit. He didn't go like that. He went in a ripped t-shirt, jeans. He had his speech in his back pocket, like he had his homework. He comes out and he looks right up at the jury and he just gives them this big smile.
Yeah, hi, here I am.
Here I am.
Yeah.
My name is Dee Snider, and
like,
I'm going
yes,
to blow
and-
your minds.
And this, and here's my friend John Denver. John Denver would also like to talk
Yeah,
to this, especially him saying,
John Denver called them a bunch of Nazis,
Yeah.
book burners.
fucking right.
All right, I got one more band that I think was off of the outline until today. It's a band called The Mentors. So, Faith No More, Anthrax, and Ministry have all talked about them. But I read one article that said that they combined the drug craziness of Gigi Allen with the theatrics of Kiss, but with a lot less money and a lot more nudity. So these guys were like a really underground band, and they all wore executioner hoods on stage. They would be like naked, and they would wear these executioner hoods.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, because I do that every Friday night.
So they would right. I'm wearing that right now. So and they would get gigs that they would dub and tape Kiss shows and send it to venues to go, we're a Kiss cover band.
That's awesome.
And they would
That's awesome.
So and they really only got they went on with Gwar was on Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
And one of their guys was next to him because he's wearing an executioner hood.
yeah.
And they also the PMRC called him out because they read the lyrics for their song "Golden Showers" at a congressional hearing.
Nice.
Which maybe we can play some like British music next episode, and I'll read them. But so let me before I continue with the story, and the only thing is, let me just play a little bit about them. This is called "Bring on the Sluts,"
Yes.
and their music is horribly offensive.
Here's a story about the finer things in life. Jacking at the strip club, we don't have to think twice. Stripper pole, oh yeah, raise your glass. Yes, take a drink, all right.
Man,
It's like
that's
poetry.
dude, we're going to play that the shit out of that song when
Right.
the bar opens.
Dude, I gotta use that next time I find a girl.
Yeah.
So
There's some good
How's
stuff.
that not a big stripper song?
So hilarious that Al Gore's wife read that in front of Congress.
Did she really?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I know that was the song "Golden Showers," which is about getting pissed on.
Yes, I know.
And-
Yeah, because we all know what golden showers are.
Well, hey, you know.
Our
So-
listeners might not.
So I thought where this all ties in. So their singer El Duque said in an interview in 1997 that Courtney Love offered him $50,000 to kill Kurt Cobain.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was some documentary like Kurt and Courtney.
Yeah. He's
And
in it.
He's in it.
He's in that, and he
a
looks
piece of
really
shit.
trailer trash.
Yeah.
He's missing some teeth.
I think he's
and-
full of shit, though.
Yeah.
But then 2 days later, after giving that interview, he was hit by a freight train.
Yeah, Courtney pushed him in front of it.
Right. So there's always the rumors that, blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was an interesting story in the arc of rock and roll that it's worth mentioning. And you got to hear Bring on the Sluts, which maybe
I'm gonna
our
hear that
listeners
again
might
later.
not have. Yeah. And we'll listen to that when I'm getting home. So,
Right before I go to
Drive
bed.
back.
Right
Yeah.
before I go to sleep.
all right, I'm going to wrap up. Are we becoming desensitized to shock rock?
Yeah.
Alice Cooper said we are. Alice Cooper said that it's evolved into entertaining the artist and not shocking them. There's nothing that can't be found on the internet. Rob Zombie and Arthur Brown both said the same thing.
You know, it'd be shocking if somebody came out and was like a nice person and just do something nice and make some nice music and, on top of it, insult
Right.
everybody. I don't know.
I agree, man. I don't think anything nothing
What-
shocking.
to
You think
be
of any horrible crime, there's a video of it
No, to
somewhere.
be polite is shocking.
Okay. So Hootie and the Blowfish is going to come back around
Please
and be.
don't.
They're
be
actually
nice.
supposed to. They were supposed
Please don't.
He's had a very successful career
Yes, he
as a
has.
country music
Yes, he
star.
has.
Wasn't he the host of Reading Rainbow?
No, that's LeVar Burton.
And LeVar Burton is going to be on
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy, which everybody's so excited about.
I thought he was Hootie.
No,
I thought he was Hootie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
no, that's the guy from Jerry Maguire.
Shit.
Wrapping up listener feedback before we get to the electric chair. So, everybody, man, dude, so many of you reached out to us for stickers. We had requests from some local people. We got ones from Chicago, Atlanta, Florida, Portland, and California.
I sent a bunch out, so if you're waiting for your sticker, it's coming.
Awesome. So the stickers are in the mail. We would love to see pictures of our stickers out in the world. Of course, don't put them anywhere where they don't belong. The warden, Rob Owens, he sent us a picture of it on the back of his pickup truck. So
Yeah.
I know he's out and about, and he's a commercial truck driver. I know he was handing out a couple. If you want one of our stickers, I mean, our logo is friggin' amazing. Just reach out to us on social media or send us an email. And that's all listener feedback I have.
Yeah.
I had something, but I'll save it till next time because we've been really talking for a long time.
I didn't think we would talk this long about shock rock.
No, neither did I.
I know there's not much to edit out of this, so
No, yeah.
this is a long one. So, all right, so let's move to the electric chair. So the electric chair is sponsored by our very, very good friends at Lunacy Brewing Company. They are located at 500 West Kings Highway in Haddon Heights, New Jersey. You can check them out on social media or at lunacybrewingcompany.com. So the electric chair is where we send a song to die. Doug, I believe it is your turn.
It is, and I'm going to send Daft Punk "Get Lucky" to the chair because I think it's god awful. Unfortunately, I don't think this song will ever officially die as long as there's block parties and some kind of family gathering. I'd actually never heard the song up until a couple of years ago, and me and Ryan kind of got invited to play in this band, and this was one of the songs, and I looked at Ryan, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
You know what? As I'm playing this on Spotify, it says Daft Punk with Pharrell Williams, who's talented, and Nile Rodgers from Chic.
Nile Rodgers is on
From
this?
Chic. Who
I can hear that.
Nile Rodgers has been.
He's my man. That's my
Well,
guy.
Chic has been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like
Yeah.
a zillion times.
Did you just put him in the Rock Hall
And
of Fame?
he is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is he?
Yeah.
But one thing I'm very happy about is that this
song
fucking band
sucks.
broke up, and we don't have to hear music from them ever again, hopefully.
This song sucks.
Because they just broke up, and they fucking suck.
I think Pharrell just fucks everything up, dude.
Yeah.
His
This song
falsetto.
has 550 million listens.
Well, they're all wrong. This song sucks.
Everybody's a bunch of posers.
Yeah, this is
This song's so
This is
fucking.
just this is block party music.
I
right?
fucking
Just
hate it.
Yeah, just it does nothing for me.
All right, kill it.
Doesn't make me feel lucky. Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
You unlucky bitch.
Take that, Daft.
Where the hose at?
Dude, that's it. This was a long
That's
episode.
it. That's it.
We moved nonstop this episode. I'm
We did a lot of
exhausted.
cocaine. We did a lot of cocaine.
We did. So we got to get a squeegee in here, clean all this stuff up. So maybe get Rob Owens to come in here and clean everything up. He'd be honored to be the mop boy for the Prisoners of Rock and
Jizz
Roll.
mopper.
Just proper.
You've been demoted. Dude, just thank you to everybody who's been checking us out, man. If you like what you hear, hit the follow button on iTunes or Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Consider leaving us a review. Tell your friends how awesome we are. We'll send them stickers too. Just have them reach out to us. If you want to check out more of the music we talked about on the show, we publish a playlist for every episode. We do it on Apple Music and Spotify. There was a lot of stuff that we talked about. We only play 30 seconds on the show, but we put the whole songs there. There's a lot of stuff we didn't get to. The links are in the show notes and on our social media. And we love getting listener feedback. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We post regularly. We love talking to everybody. You can also check us out at prisonersofrockandroll.com. You can also email us at prisonersofrockandroll@gmail.com. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. I think we have an idea what we're going to talk about next, but we're going to settle that before we roll out of here for the night.
I think we need to come up with a contest.
Okay.
Like some kind of contest, and the winner gets a Gwar party.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, we come to your house like the
house and-
anthrax. Like the anthrax.
Anthrax, we're going to come and
contest.
trash the shit out of your house.
And make blood everywhere.
All right. I like it. All right. We'll think about that. And we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Right on, right on.
Keep on rocking. Peace out.